Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And forgive me, my camera's like tilted. What is happening here? Hold on. I don't even know which way it is. Oh my goodness. So sorry about that. Yes, you'll notice I have the old intro. That is because I forgot to switch it to the new intro on this computer. So I am down in Florida, and things are a little complicated. I'm not in my normal space, so I'm getting used to it, getting used to everything. I'm so blurry. I apologize. I have a different camera. And nothing is set up. Nothing is working right, but that's how it goes. It's also, yeah, there was more daylight when I adjusted this earlier. So I could spend a whole bunch of time like fixing this right now, but I'm not going to. I'll see if I can adjust it for the next live stream, because if I do it live, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess. But anyway, how are you guys doing today? I am, like I said, I'm here in Florida. I'm doing well. And had my share of Florida-isms today. I sat outside at night. It wasn't cold. It was gorgeous. And I just fell asleep for a couple hours. It was amazing. Do it live. All right. Let me see if I'm just going to mess with one setting. This is going to go terribly. I already know it. Just a second. We're going to try and adjust the white balance, and only the white balance. Oh, everything's backwards. Let's see. White balance. There. That's more accurate. There we go. I'm a little bit pastier. Hope that helped. That was the white balance. That is what is keeping Chauvin in check. Okay. He got more racist. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so today we have a couple different topics to discuss. We've got ReRalphing Riley, which is a play on rewriting Ripley. I know it's not clever, but to me it was clever. Like, generally speaking, I get that it's not clever, but all that matters is whether I chuckled when I wrote it, and I did, and so that's what we've got. We've got ReRalphing Riley. This is obviously the big conflict between Ethan Ralph and AES Riley. You guys know Riley from the Dick Show. So they had a sumo wrestling match that happened live on video in front of a doorway and an audience of a mix of trans people, of tall, maybe gay, nice guys, a mint salad, and I don't know how to describe this. You guys know what this is, right? Some of you are familiar with this. We'll get into it. We're going to EFAP the entire video that was put up on DigiNay's channel, because it's not DigiBro anymore. It is now DigiNay. And it doesn't get much more internet than what happened. So that's what we're going to cover there. Then we'll briefly talk about this Sacramento thing with the voice actors, because all of these people who are like, oh yeah, Vic's a murderer for going to a convention, are not only going to a convention, but they're going to a convention that has displaced some COVID vaccinations. So that's nice, and that's okay now because of who it is. But I heard Vic said some stuff about it too, and so I want to make sure that that's clear for people. I retract nothing ever, so that's fine. And then the other thing we're going to cover is this case out of the Sixth Circuit. I did a video on it today, but we're going to read the full opinion of the judge. And that was the, he decided that pronouns were not really that important, which might be relevant in part to our first video too. Not really. That's a joke. But anyway, yeah, so we're going to cover that. There's also a little thing we're going to cover, literally little thing we're going to cover called Matt Gaetz. Because I don't know if you guys have seen Matt Gaetz, but he looks like a little goblin, right? He's got this like little body and then this giant head and this swoopy plasticky hair. He's kind of weird looking. We're gonna cover that a little bit because it's one of the early super chats that we're gonna get to. So we'll talk about that. However, someone Nerniath brought up something very important that we're going to discuss. YouTube is on a rampage. YouTube is on a rampage and has yeeted both channels for Doug TeNapel. They are gone. Permanent ban from the platform, as far as I can tell. I believe it is under appeal, but you know how that goes. Doug TeNapel has been thrown off of YouTube, and they have also gone after Crowder. So now listen, I know there's some people in this audience who still has hurt feelings about Doug over Comicsgate, and they don't like the guy, and that's fine. I'd never asked anybody to like anybody. You like who you like, just leave me to like who I like, and we're all good, right? I'm not asking anybody to like Doug TeNapel, but what is happening to him is nonsense. That's the bottom line there. Doug TeNapel has been hit over YouTube's kvetching over election stuff and COVID in particular. Expressing an opinion on this platform is no longer what you get to do on certain subjects. And so if your opinion is skepticism about the COVID vaccine, based on personal experience with the vaccine, then that's enough, apparently, to go ahead and throw someone off of the platform with 450,000 subscribers, that type of stuff. Crowder, I don't even know what they got Crowder on. But yeah, here's the thing about personalities and people and all of this stuff. I don't ever want anyone deplatformed. In fact, I want everybody platformed to the maximum that they want to achieve and are able to, right? Like if you're able to garner an audience through charisma, bribery, muggings, I don't care how you do it. Whatever you're able to do, if you're able to entertain people enough, then I want you to do that. I don't want anybody to stop you. And YouTube should too. YouTube should too, because they can enforce their speech as much as they want through advertiser policies. But at the end of the day, like just let everybody talk. Because resources are theoretically limited, but effectively limitless as far as how many people want to get on YouTube. Like YouTube has never been hurting for the ability to meet the demand for content. Like they can do it. They can do it. And there's more and more people who can come to this platform. There are more and more advertising dollars. YouTube wants to expand its reach. They're not like, well, we only want to service this particular market. YouTube wants a global market, and part of that global market is covering all subjects, all topics, all political opinions, everything. That's how it should be. There shouldn't be anything getting in the way of that ability to communicate. And so for them to do this is to take their company's mission of being a platform for speech and to change it into being a platform for speech that we want to deliver and to control the thoughts and opinions of people through the circus tent spike, right? Just 7 sledgehammers all hitting in a row, right? That's what they want. They want a uniformity of message, and that's just weird. It's a weird thing to want. To me, it's foreign. It's foreign. To me, I want people to say what they feel and what they believe, because I want to know who I don't want to hang out with, right? I want to find the person that says, that they like doing terrible things that I think are terrible. And then I want to go, okay, well, you like terrible things and I don't. Like if someone wants to watch Batman movies all day, great. I know that I probably shouldn't hang around that person because I'm going to make fun of, where is it? I'm going to make fun of that stuff. And then it's going to be, we're going to have a rocky friendship, or, someone who likes the performances of Margot Robbie or something like that. I don't want to hang out with that person because I don't want to waste my time. So that's why I want everybody to speak. And I want everybody to voice their opinions. I don't want anybody deplatformed. I don't care how much I dislike them. I don't even want the voice actors deplatformed. I want to make fun of them. I like making fun of them. I think they're terrible. Not necessarily at their jobs. I think they're terrible people. Now, some of them are terrible at their jobs. But let me be clear. I want terrible people to work. I believe in an economy. I believe in functional capitalism. I want terrible people to have jobs and pay taxes. That's what I want. Except that all taxation is theft. So anyway, this YouTube attack on people is bogus. It's nonsense. Kalstro, I don't like degenerate anime either. I only like the highest quality redo of Healer anime, and that's about it. But yeah, so I don't want anybody deplatformed or struck from anything. And I hope that that's something that gets communicated on this channel, and you can disagree. That's the beauty of this, right? Like you can disagree with that opinion all day. But I want to make sure and communicate that my perspective is we shouldn't be doing this. I don't think YouTube should do it. I think it's really lame that they've done it to Doug. You know what, guys? I forgot to grab something. So I hate to leave the stream for just a minute, but I'm going to, because I've got to shill something, and it's better if I can do it with the actual thing in my hand. So I'll be right back. I got to go get my thing in my hand. Yeah, that works. Okay. All right, guys, here we go. Sorry for the delay. Never apologize, but I do apologize. So I bought some things today, and I'm going to use this to talk about our sponsor. Our sponsor is, of course, my locals page. So ricadalaw.locals.com, which I don't know if I adjusted it in the description for this video, but oh, thank you, Angry Baneling. Even though I gripe at him and make fun of India, always doing Yeoman's work. I pinned his message. He's got a link to the locals page. First of all, let me say this. You should follow my locals page because it's free to follow. And if you follow it, you will always get the notification for the stream. You'll always get it because I post a stream every day. And I just found out I can pin the stream link for like 12 hours. So it's perfect. You will always see when there's a stream or if there's not a stream on locals, unless I'm dead. That'd be the only time you wouldn't see a stream announcement. But so you should follow on locals because it's free. You can see announcements there and it's really great for that. If you want to engage on locals, there is a charge to it. Do it through the website. Don't do it through the app. The app costs extra the first month. It's really weird. Just do it through the website. But that's something you can decide way later. I'm not asking you to join up on locals and stuff like that. However, I'm about to advertise why you might want to join on locals because there's content that goes up there that doesn't go out anywhere else. From personal pictures and videos and stuff like that to reviews of some things that I bought today, which I'm going to show you right now. Here is one of them. This is Classics Illustrated. I don't know what this is. This is a 15-cent comic book from forever ago. I'm trying to do, maybe if let me turn there, we'll get rid of some of the glare. Classics Illustrated. This is an old comic book that I found. We're going to be reviewing this on the channel. The next one we've got, this is John McCain's presidential campaign comic, presidential material, John McCain. So I don't know what this is, but we're going to do that. That's great. What's next? Oh, see, these get spicier as we go. These get spicier as we go. I got this Mad Magazine, Gone with the Wind Bag. That's Trump and Rosie O'Donnell. Look at this. We're going to review this guy. Again, this is the kind of stuff that will be going up on locals. We've got this one as well. This is actually from Antarctic Press. So some of you may remember Antarctic Press from the Meyer versus Wade thing. We've got Trump versus time traveling Abraham Lincoln. I don't know what this is, but this is Trump versus time traveling Abraham Lincoln. We'll be reviewing that on the locals page. And these last two, I have saved for last because these are the spiciest. Okay. Check this out. This is Captain Confederacy. I don't know what this is or where it came from, but this is Captain Confederacy. And I also have Captain Confederacy or Captain Confederate. No, Confederacy. That's right. Issue number 3 as well. I think this is number 1 because this one doesn't have a number on it, but this is number 3. So we'll be reviewing these comics on locals. No, I think Captain Confederacy is the hero. I don't know when these were printed. 1986. They're signed. The signature. Vince Stone is the artist who drew Captain Confederacy. So, we'll see. But yeah, that's I got these at a comic shop. That's kind of that's near where I am. It's Feed Your Imagination Comics in St. Petersburg, Florida. So, I'll be hopefully doing those very soon. And I figured I'm going to find more politically incorrect things to review. Another thing I'm also going to do, because you have to have a fair and balanced approach. Fair and balanced approach is I will be getting woke children's books and doing bedtime stories with those. These will have to be on locals, because even though they'll obviously be fair use content, YouTube will be flagging that type of stuff. So we'll be covering, we'll be doing those on the locals page. It's just fun stuff. So we're gonna cover the anti woke stuff and the woke stuff that's coming out now. So should be a fun time. I'm going to go buy like the Is Your Baby a Racist comic picture book for kids and stuff like that. But anyway, so that's over on ricadalaw.locals.com. You can also find random food that I cook and stuff like that. What's up with my hair? I'm in Florida, man. It's the I've also got a lower resolution camera and all sorts of stuff. So, okay, that's all coming. As locals continues to grow. Again, if you are a Patreon subscriber or a Subscribestar subscriber, please use the promo code that I put up on Patreon and Subscribestar and move over to locals. I'm looking to shut those two services down. I don't want to keep them. I'm not really uploading the preview content to Patreon anymore. It's going on locals. Same with Subscribestar. I want to get off of them. I would very much appreciate if you would move over, because I don't want to just shut it down and kick people out the Discord and stuff like that. Move over to locals. And if you have any problems, please let me or Soder know, and we'll get you set up with that transition. We'll figure it out. So, okay. That being said, let's see. We need to do Ethan Ralph's story. I think it has to happen. Wait, Anna's in Florida? With Drunk 3PO and Cecil? Cecil's in Florida? Why is everybody here in Florida? I was going to hang out with, I wanted to hang out with Joe Neerman, who I believe is also in Florida, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if it would, I don't know if I can make that schedule work. I don't know if I can get to where Good Logic is, because it's spring break. It's spring break. The problem with spring break is that it costs a fortune to like rent a car. So anyway, everyone is in Orlando. Yeah. So we'll see. I'll see. Orlando's a couple hours from where I am, so All right, let's do super chats and then we'll talk Ethan Ralph. This will be great. I can't wait. I need to pull up the early super chats. Also, I did put out 2 videos today, hoping to get a couple videos out tomorrow as well as we go through it. One of them is going to be a topic that we cover in these super chats in just a second, but thank you guys for always checking out those videos. I really appreciate it. I can't express enough how helpful it is when you guys watch those videos. Like I see it. I see when subscribers watch and stuff like that. It's awesome. You guys are always super supportive, and that helps bring more people into the channel and, potentially brings a more raucous live stream later on. So thank you for that. Okay. The Dragon's Treasure. The Dragon's Treasure has the first super chat of the night. He says, the T-Man is ready to shill. 12 brand new tees up for pre-sale. Coupon code Nick expires Sunday. Get 10% off and try our new stuff. We'll be sending the new tees to Nick along with his money next week. Also, screw character limits. Yeah, I think you get 10% off and I get 5% or something like that. But that's not actually why I promote the Dragon's Treasure tee. We've never actually worked out a deal or anything like that. He just does it that way because that's what he decided to do. And hey, I like it. I like it. So check out the dragonstreasure.com hand cut tea. Hand cut? I don't know. Hand selected blended tea. It's like not little ground up granules of Lipton garbage. It's actually really good tea. I vouch for it personally. I enjoy the heck out of it. The different teas, they all have a very unique flavor. He puts very detailed instructions on how to brew them and everything on the pouches. It's good stuff. It's high quality tea. If you like high quality tea, go to Dragon's Treasure. Also, if you're a weeb, go there. Go there. And then Funny Valentine 2024 says, yo, Nick, what the heck is going on with Matt Gaetz? Let's briefly take a look at what's going on with Matt Gaetz. In answer to this super chat, this is what's going to be tomorrow. Okay. So let's see if I can do this without shutting down the stream. Hey, there it is. There it is. Matt Gaetz is said to face Justice Department inquiry over sex with an underage girl. Oh, boy. And you can see here an inquiry into the Florida congressman was opened in the final months of the Trump administration. People briefed on it said. Now you can see here, look what I was talking about. Look at like this guy's got a goblin-esque appearance to me. Yeah, I know, Spectre. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. So I don't know. Look, I don't care about Matt Gaetz. Yes or no? I don't care about Matt Gaetz. Like him, don't like him. That's fine. I have no idea if any of this is true. I know we cover lots of false allegations on this channel. And this could absolutely be a false allegation. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is because if this is a false allegation, he has like the most interesting story behind it. Right? Like that's the story is what makes this really interesting. So here we go. We'll take a look. This is the new, so I've got the New York Times article up. We're also going to look at the New York Post article in which is kind of his clapback. Okay. So don't like, because I'm reading the New York Times article, I don't have an opinion. To me, people are innocent until proven guilty. I've seen no proof of any of this. Like this is an allegation of an investigation, right? We don't even have confirmation of an investigation yet, but the story behind it is absolutely bizarre and it's interesting. All right. This is, my thing is settle down. We've got to talk about it because it's an interesting major political topic, but don't take me talking about it as endorsement of the story. I trust New York Times as far as I can throw them, and most of them are fat. So, Representative Matt Gaetz, Republican of Florida and a close ally of former President Donald Trump, is being investigated by the Justice Department over whether he had a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old and paid for her to travel with him, according to 3 people briefed on the matter. Okay, so the first question is, what was there a 17-year-old traveling with Matt Gaetz? Like, you'd think somebody would know about this. Like, somewhere someone would know who this is. Who knows? Full disclosure, right? I've covered a couple Matt Gaetz stories. I watched his speech at CPAC. I wasn't impressed by his speech at CPAC. I thought it was a weird speech. Didn't like it. No reflection on the guy. But I want people to, This is my history with Matt Gaetz, is covering like 2 news stories about him. I liked when he bashed Liz Cheney. I think more people should bash Liz Cheney. I think that's funny. I like that he went to Wyoming to bash Liz Cheney in her hometown. That was even funnier. I didn't like his CPAC speech. I thought it was weak. I thought it was very limp and ineffective. But apparently, if it was a 17-year-old, it would have been. No, I'm joking. Zara BP, you entered the code and said it was invalid. Okay. Message me somewhere. We'll figure this out. Investigators are examining whether Gaetz violated federal sex trafficking laws. The People said a variety of federal statutes make it illegal to induce someone over the 18 to travel over state lines to engage in sex for money or something of value, like a comic book. It was not clear how Mr. Gaetz met the girl believed to be 17 at the time of the encounters about 2 years ago that investigators are scrutinizing, according to 2 of the people. So there's lots of red flags in this story already. It's not clear how he met her. The details on their travel are sparse. So that's weird. And so here's what's going on. He calls it the investigation part of an elaborate scheme involving false sex allegations to extort him and his family for $25 million that began this month. Whoa, what? Wait, here we go. That's interesting. How many paragraphs down are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 paragraphs into this story, we get to what is probably the real story. Right? Look at this. Representatives from the Justice Department and the FBI declined to comment. That's pretty standard, I guess, although this is, kind of important. They didn't decline to comment on Hillary, but okay. Who's Mr. Greenberg? Let's see. Part of a broader investigation into a political ally of his, a local official in Florida named Joel Greenberg, who was indicted last year on an array of charges, included sex trafficking. So we've got guilt by association of a child and financially supporting people in exchange for sex, at least one of whom was an underage girl. Greenberg, who has since resigned his post as tax collector in Seminole County. Oh, well, a tax collector was raping people? That's just all tax collectors. Visited the White House with Gaetz in 2019. So we have guilt by association. This is great. Good job. Then we just kind of sandwich in there this whole story. Oh, yeah, he might be being extorted for $25 million. We're going to get to that. Don't worry. Mr. Greenberg pleaded not guilty last year and was sent to jail this month for violating the terms of his bail, scheduled to go on trial in June in Orlando. Frequent presence on Fox News. Gaetz has recently mused with confidants about quitting. Yeah, this is weird because Gaetz is talking about quitting politics and going to work for Newsmax. And there's another story. I can't remember the guy's name. He's a football player for the Houston Texans. And he is getting hit too. It's another interesting case. It has a weird parallel to this story because in that case, he was also talking about moving to another team when the allegations came out. So it's weird there, a weird parallel. Then we go back to Greenberg. Mr. Greenberg maintained ties to controversial figures who have supported Mr. Trump. An examination of court records, social media posts, and far-right website shows. What does Greenberg have to do with this story? Deshaun Watson. Thank you, Andrew. Can somebody tell me what Mr. Greenberg has to do with whether or not Matt Gaetz trafficked a 17-year-old girl? That'd be interesting to find out, like, whoa. Sorry about that. That'd be interesting to see, like, okay, so what about Greenberg matters to this? Website run by a member of the far-right group Proud Boys and a network of fake social media accounts linked to Mr. Trump's longtime political advisor Roger Stone have promoted false accusations about Mr. Greenberg's rivals, similar to rumors that prosecutors accused Mr. Greenberg of secretly trying to spread. It was not clear how Mr. Greenberg knew either Matt Gaetz or Mr. Stone. So why are you talking about him so much? This is the New York Times. This is how the New York Times reports, right? It's guilt by association because Gaetz expressed support for Greenberg's successful bid for local office, predicting he'd someday make a great member of Congress. Well, they shut that one down. Okay, so anyway, I'm just trolling through. Look at how long this article is. So here's Greenberg with Matt Gaetz and Roger Stone. Okay. This is a story about Greenberg. Why is Matt Gaetz involved with this story about Greenberg? This whole latter half of this article is about Joel Greenberg. Notice the headline. Matt Gaetz is said to face Justice Department inquiry. Half the article's about somebody else. All right, let's do this. Here's New York Post. This is the story right here. And again, I don't know which of these stories is true. Okay? Matt Gaetz may have trafficked a girl. I don't know. No idea. Don't care. If he did, put him in prison. No skin off my teeth. What happened? Uh-oh. Hold on. I lost my secondary display. Very important for me to get it back. No! 1 second. I gotta get back to this. I'm doing this new thing where I remotely cast to my other display, and I ruined it by doing a thing. There we go. So you know what I hate? So when I'm projecting my monitor to another screen, okay, I send it over and it says, do you want to allow projection onto this screen? And I click always allow, right? Because I always want to allow my computer to project to this screen. I have no other reason to have this screen here. So I always want it allowed. And then it asks me every single time. It then asks me every time. I'm like, why would I click always allow if I want to answer the question every time I do it? That's the dumbest thing on earth. So, is your computer plugged in, sir? I got it fixed. Thank you. Run as administrator. Stop it. Format C. I'll try that. Okay, so here's back to this. Here's where I think the real story is. This is the most wild setup story we've seen from one of these allegations, in my opinion. Because we've seen all sorts of stuff, all sorts of reasons people are being falsely accused. Here's Matt Gaetz. And like I said, whatever Matt Gaetz' fate is beyond my personal concern. You know, if he's guilty, he's guilty. If he's not guilty, great. Leave him alone. Matt Gaetz claims former DOJ official trying to extort his family. All right. Florida Rep. Matt Gaetz on Tuesday night said a former Department of Justice official attempted to shake his family down for $25 million by blackmailing him with, quote, horrible sex trafficking allegations. Gaetz made the claim in an interview with Fox News' Tucker Carlson, where he said he believes information about a DOJ probe into possible sexual trafficking against him was leaked to the media in an effort to end an ongoing FBI investigation into the alleged extortion plot. I don't know how that makes sense. I don't know how leaking the story about his alleged trafficking to the media would end an FBI investigation into the extortion plot. That's a logic problem with Gaetz' story. Again, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a weird leap, right? Like, we have to be objective enough to say, that's a strange leap. Again, it has nothing to do with whether or not Matt Gaetz did this. That is just a very weird sort of idea. Like, look, they're only leaking this story about my embezzlement to get rid of the FBI investigation into Bill's bank robbery. Huh? Why would the leak to the media about your embezzlement end the investigation with the FBI into the bank robbery of another person? Those two things don't make sense. But that being said, we'll go on. On March 16th, my father got a text message demanding a meeting wherein a person demanded $25 million in exchange for making horrible sex trafficking allegations against me go away. Our family was so troubled by that, we went to the local FBI. This is good. There should be records of all this. The FBI and the DOJ were so concerned about this attempted extortion of a member of Congress that they asked my dad to wear a wire, which he did with the former Department of Justice official. By the way, extorting people is bad. Extorting a member of Congress is worse. That's a worse crime. That is a very, very big crime. Extortion in general is a big crime. Extorting a member of Congress is a specific extra crime, and you don't want to do that. It is my legal recommendation to not extort a member of Congress. It's very, very important. Okay. So they were so concerned about this attempted extortion, they asked my dad to wear a wire, which he did with the former DOJ official. Gaetz identified the former DOJ official as David McGee. Thank you for naming names. That's good. As part of the alleged extortion probe, Gaetz said there was a plan to wire McGee $4.5 million on Wednesday as a down payment on this bribe. I mean, if you're working with the FBI, I guess that's something to do. Typically speaking, don't make down payments on bribes. All right. If you're working with the FBI and the DOJ and you have an attorney involved, then you can consider making a down payment on a bribe. If you're not all three of those things, don't make a down payment on a bribe. Like if you're just you and someone says, send me $1 million, and you're like, I'm going to prove this sucker wrong and I'm going to send a start to the bribe of 100,000. Don't do that. That's a bad plan. If you're working with the FBI and DOJ, it's an okay plan, right? You've got all sorts of documentation. You're acting on this sort of thing. Who has $4.5 million to just wire? Matt Gaetz' family must be really, really wealthy, I'm assuming. So that's cool. Yeah, I get that he's working with the FBI. I'm saying that's the only time you can do it. In the Fox News interview, Gaetz voiced suspicion over the timing of the report on the DOJ probe into him. The money was supposed to be paid that would have shown more evidence of David McGee's work in this extortion scheme, he told Carlson. So why wasn't the money paid? Like now that he's leaked it, right? The money isn't going to be paid because that was a plan to wire him on Wednesday. So now the wire won't occur. The story got leaked. And now he's talking about the plan publicly. So the plan's not going to happen. So again, this is a weird one. Because the New York Times article leaked. Sure. But the New York Times article is about the investigation. So I guess because the investigation came out early, who leaked the investigation? So see, so who's leaking the, like, I get it. Okay. I'm with you. So New York Times article leaks, that destroys the plot, right? Because now the whole thing was 25 million makes this go away, but now it's out. So now the 25 million can't make it go away. So the plot's destroyed. Who leaks it? Whose motive is to not make $25 million to leak this? So that's an interesting... I'm not saying it's not happening. Believe me, like I'm just trying to noodle through this live. Like, so that's the intrigue of this story, right? So whose plan is... FBI. I know, but the FBI's in on it, right? So don't they want the 25 million to happen? It's a weird situation. What is the FBI's interest in stopping the 25, the down payment on the bribe to get this guy out? They know that if this is a real thing, that they're working with the FBI and the DOJ with Matt Gaetz and his family, that the extortion stuff is automatically discredited. If there's any cataloging of this, it's discredited outright. So then the FBI leaking it doesn't make a ton of sense. Gaetz went on Tucker and explained everything. Oh, I'm sure it's all very explained. I'm just saying, like, this whole thing is so super weird. Agent getting paid by a journalist. But if they get paid by a journalist, they ruin all this stuff. FBI covers for the DOJ. Yeah, but they still, like, they don't actually cover for the DOJ here. Because if the former DOJ official is doing this, they're going to have, like, Gaetz's family is still going to have all the records of what's going on. I would assume he can back up what he's saying. This is weird. Someone's saying we should watch the Tucker interview. Let me see. Let me see how long it is. This is like a double blind, right? Like this is super weird. All right, we got 8 minutes of this. Here we go. Let me get my headphones. Okay. Guys, I saw these new this new Bang & Olufsen headset for Xbox. And I was looking at it, I'm like, I think I'm going to get that for my streaming headphones. Cuz then I can stream with them on my computer, but also use them as a wireless headset for the Xbox to do streams from my Xbox when I get back. I'm excited about that. Okay, here we go. Let's see what Tucker says. Oh, hey, I gotta switch over here. Angry Baneling, these are Sennheiser right here. I'm wearing Sennheiser headphones, but the Bang & Olufsen Xbox ones look really, really nice. All right, here we go.
Just a couple of hours ago, late this afternoon.
I love Tucker Carlson's face. Look at it. He always has a look of consternation. He's never not looked, he's never not had a look of consternation. Ever. It's fantastic.
Afternoon, the New York Times ran a story saying that Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz is under federal investigation for playing some role in sex trafficking and potentially having a relationship with a 17-year-old girl. There are very few details in major news outlets tonight about this story.
Look at Matt Gaetz's face. Like, if you were going to draw, like, again, this is not a judgment on Gaetz. It's just his weird face. If you were going to draw a villain, or if I was, he would look like Matt Gaetz. Except he'd probably be Asian because of the Wuhan flu. That's a joke. Chill out, YouTube. Anyway.
No background on it all, and not even any very informed questions. Instead, we've invited Congressman Gaetz on the show to respond to these stories and give us his view of them. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it. So this is obviously a serious allegation. Tell us what the truth is from your perspective.
It is a horrible allegation, and it is a lie. The New York Times is running a story that I have traveled with.
It's a lie. She was 16. That would have been funny. God, that would have been way funnier. Alan Cochran, Gaetz can be a patriot and still look like a creepy villain from a movie. That's fine. Like I said, I don't have any judgment about this guy other than I didn't like his CPAC speech because it was boring. That's my only judgment of Matt Gaetz. I wasn't really a big fan of his CPAC speech, but I'm neutral on him. But he does have like a creepy, evil face. Like we're allowed to say that. It's okay.
With a 17-year-old woman.
He looks like the bully in an 80s movie grew up. Yes, that's what it is. He doesn't look like a maniacal guy. He just looks so mad. I like it.
And that is verifiably false. People can look at my travel records and see that that is not the case. What is happening is an extortion of me and my family involving a former Department of Justice official. On March 16th, my father got a text message demanding a meeting wherein a person demanded $25 million in exchange for making horrible sex trafficking allegations against me go away. Our family was so troubled by that, we went to the local FBI. And the FBI and the Department of Justice were so concerned about this attempted extortion of a member of Congress that they asked my dad to wear a wire, which he did with the former Department of Justice official.
Play the tape. Play the tape. Look, guys, let me tell you this as a as an attorney, and this is not legal advice. This is practical advice. Okay. If you're working with law enforcement and wearing a wire or whatever, always get a copy of the recording. Always. If you're a member of Congress working with law enforcement, definitely get a copy of the wire. Get a copy of the tape. Get a copy of the tape. I don't know if he has one, but if he doesn't, he should always get a copy of the tape. Always get a copy of the tape. They can't stop you from playing that clip, right? Like they can't stop you from playing the wire. They can advise you against it. They can say, hey, we don't want you to leak this until our investigation is complete. That's up to them. Matt Gaetz has a bigger concern than the criminal action against this guy, right? Like here's the reality. Matt Gaetz doesn't want to be extorted. Matt Gaetz wants to clear up allegations about sexual activities with a minor more than he wants a guy to go to jail for extortion. That is my opinion. My opinion. Blah Allmeyer, ask who at the FBI? When they're saying, we want you to wear a wire, you say, yeah, I'll wear a wire. You're going to give me the tape. You're going to give me the tape, or I'm not wearing the wire. Give me the tape. Or you record it yourself. You have to protect yourself. This is a congressman. In all honesty, Matt Gaetz' reputation is far more valuable to him than a guy going to jail for extortion. So always, 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 this is my personal advice to you. Get a copy of it. By the way, that wire, like that recording, is going to come out if charges are ever brought against the person. So that wire, it's not like it's private, secret info. It's not. And they can advise you against releasing it all they want. They can't stop you from releasing it, though. You can get that. And in the case of a public person, my personal opinion is that if it were me, for example, right? Like if someone's extorting Rekieta Law, Nick Rekieta, the YouTuber, because they want to say that I trafficked some 17-year-old, that first of all, I can't stand talking to 17-year-olds, much less a 17-year-old girl. Listen, I teach homeschool high schoolers. Sometimes I have taught Bible studies, and dear God, like the last people on earth I want to talk to about anything are teenagers. It's no offense to them. They're just teenagers. I like teaching them. I don't want to sit and carry on a conversation. And I certainly don't want to try and make some sort of connection with them. That sounds horrible. So that being said, if any allegation comes against me, you can immediately go, oh God, Nick hates teenagers. Why would he do that? So, but if someone's trying to extort me, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm a semi-public figure, and these accusations are enough to cause me significant harm. So if we're doing this, I'm going to wear a wire. We're going to unveil the extortion. I'm getting a copy of that because I might need to use this for me. And Matt Gaetz is in the same spot here. His reputation to him is much more valuable than the DOJ getting a conviction of some former employee. Plus, it's not actually going to interfere with the conviction 99% of the time, because especially now, like we know, the whole thing's foiled, right? He's talking about it publicly. There's no reason to not play it. Now they may play it or whatever. Always get the wire for yourself. Always get the wire for yourself. Gaetz is out here. I don't know if he's got it. If he doesn't have it, he's talking about it. He's already spoiled any sort of fruits of an investigation or whatever. It was spoiled perhaps by the New York Times, right? Like that's the whole story. So now you play the wire, you play the tape. Say, well, this is already out there, so we're going to go ahead and share our side of this. Here's the wire of my dad talking to this person. Blah, 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 blah.
Tonight, I am demanding that the Department of Justice and the FBI release the audio recordings that were made under their supervision and...
Oh, did you? There it is. You trusted the FBI to not give you a copy of the what? Again, you're a congressman. You're a congressman.
At their direction, which will prove my innocence and that will show that these allegations aren't true. They're merely intended to try to bleed my family out of money. And this former Department of Justice official tomorrow was supposed to be contacted by my father so that specific...
They're about to wire a guy $4.5 million, okay, as a fake down payment, right? But that means that they have $4.5 million, and this person clearly thinks they can extort Matt Gaetz' family out of $25 million. I don't know anything about Matt Gaetz, but it sounds like, and typically politicians tend to be well connected. They tend to have significant resources. That's part of the nature of the game, and that's not a not planned thing, right? Like the founders set up a system where, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, the cultural elite tend to be the people who get elected because they have the resources to forego doing a job. They have the resources to build a campaign. They have the networked connections to get enough notoriety, to be known in the community. That's kind of the idea. Like that's not a secret here. So they can pay a lawyer $400 an hour to help them out with this. That's my point on this one. Like, there's no reason that Matt Gaetz, like, you might not be able to afford $400 an hour for a lawyer. I might not be able to afford $400 an hour for a lawyer, right? But Matt Gaetz probably can afford $400 an hour for a lawyer to help him navigate this extremely critical event that's going to affect his reputation. And again, this is not a condemnation of Matt Gaetz. Just because he didn't do this doesn't make anything. Think of this. General Flynn, right? Michael Flynn went in and talked to the FBI without an attorney present. Look at what that cost him. Look at what that cost him. And that's what I'm talking about here. If you are a person who's being, if you're a person who's being extorted, if you have the resources to be extorted for a significant amount of money, you probably have the resources to navigate that with an attorney, and you really should. And someone who's got such investment in being a public person as Matt Gaetz, you've got to manage this right. And I'm not saying I'm the right guy for the job for Matt Gaetz, but if I can figure out, yeah, you should have the FBI give you a copy of the tape, like as a condition of the deal. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Instructions could be given regarding the wiring of $4.5 million as a down payment on this bribe. I don't think it's a coincidence that tonight, somehow, the New York Times is leaking this information, smearing me.
It was just a mini F. We should be back. We should be back.
And ruining the investigation that would likely result in one of the former colleagues of the current DOJ being brought to justice for trying to extort me and my family.
It doesn't ruin the investigation, by the way. Like, and this is, you can kind of see this on Tucker's face. Not having the wire doesn't ruin the investigation if they have other stuff. If they have the messages, the extortion message. He said they did this over text, right? Let's see. His father got a text message. Okay. Release a text message. Release that. Go ahead and release these things.
So a couple of obvious questions that come to mind, and again, just to restate, this just happened, don't have any other information beyond what we've already said and you have said. First of all, who is this Department of Justice former employee who's trying to extort the money from you, you say?
His name is David McGee. He was a top official in the leadership in the Northern District of Florida as a prosecutor. He currently works at the Beggs and Lane law firm. As a matter of fact, one of the recordings that was made at the FBI and Department of Justice request occurred at that law firm, and the money that was supposed to be paid today that would have shown even more evidence of David McGee's work in this extortion scheme, that was foiled by the New York Times story, and I believe that's why.
God, look at Tucker's face. I love it. It doesn't matter who he's talking to. Tucker is the most consistent-faced man on the planet. If Tucker can't win at poker, like the only reason Tucker works at Fox News is because he makes more money at Fox News than he does playing poker. Look at that face. It's amazing. If I could get that face, I would be a trillionaire. No matter what's being said to you. Look, you can imagine. So the waiter at Denny's comes up to Tucker Carlson and is like, Tucker's like, why don't you tell me about the moons over my hammy? I want to hear about that. Well, we have reports that the moons over my hammy is an interesting breakfast dish, and I want you to testify to that right here live to the American people. And then the guy goes on to explain moons over my hammy to Tucker Carlson. Oh my God. They just ruined my Tucker Carlson impression. You guys didn't even hear my Tucker Carlson impression, did you? Somebody tell me you heard my Tucker Carlson impression. Son of a bitch. Look, I'm going to do it again. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be terrible. God, I hate it. Okay, so this isn't even going to be funny. Let me ruin everything. When this goes up on the archive channel, by the way, oh no, it won't. It is recording. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I'm recording this, so when it goes up on the archive channel, the full thing will be there because I'm going to do the impression, but it won't do justice to it the second time, okay? All right, so Tucker Carlson goes to a Denny's. He goes to the Denny's and the waiter comes by the table and he says, "Look, I'm going to need you to tell me about the moons over my hammy dish. I've heard lots of reports that the moons over my hammy dish is pretty interesting, but I want you to describe it here live for the American people. And then the waiter goes on to talk about moons over my hammy to Tucker Carlson, right? Did it just F again? You liars. You lied. Why would you do that to me? That's how he would approach every situation in life. That's how he would approach every situation in life. I am not going to do slow mode. I am against slow mode morally. You guys can make the chat go 1,000,000%. So, anyway, so the first impression was probably worse, but I'm going to say it was better because you guys didn't see it.
This horrible information and these terrible allegations have been used this evening.
So and I'll get to the investigation in a sec, but you're saying that David McGee was motivated by greed. He was trying to extort money from your family. That's his motivation, you're saying?
I know that there was a demand for money in exchange for a commitment that he could make this investigation go away along with his co-conspirators. They even claimed to have...
Interesting.
Specific connections inside the Biden White House. Now, I don't know if that's true. They were promising that Joe Biden would pardon me. Obviously, I don't need a pardon. I'm not seeking a pardon. I have not done anything improper or wrong. But what I am troubled by is the real motivation for all of this. You know, just tonight, Ted Lieu, a Democrat, is calling on me to be removed from the House Judiciary Committee. And I believe we are in an era of our politics now, Tucker, where people are smeared to try to take them out of the conversation. I'm not the only person on screen right now who's been falsely accused of a terrible sex act. You were accused of something that you did not do. And so you know what this feels like. You know the pain it can bring to your family.
By the way, credit to Tucker Carlson. Look at him, stone-faced during Matt Gaetz kind of weirdly, I don't know if he's empathizing or lashing out at Tucker here, but it's kind of a strange thing, right?
And you know how it just puts people on defense when you're accused of something so salacious and awful, but it did not happen. It is not true. And the fact that it is the basis of this attempt to extort my family tells a lot. And if the FBI and Department of Justice will release the tapes that they are in possession of, the American people will see what is really going on.
You just referred to a mentally ill viewer who accused me of a sex crime 20 years ago. And of course, it was not true. I never met the person. But I do agree with you that being accused falsely is one of the worst things that can happen, and you do see it a lot.
That was a good play by Tucker there. By the way, that was a mentally ill. I've never met them, ever.
Let's go back to the investigation. You say that it was or is underway. There was an investigation. What is the basis of that investigation? What is the allegation? That's really not very clear from these news stories.
Yeah, again, I only know what I've read in the New York Times. I can say that actually you and I went to dinner about 2 years ago. Your wife was there, and I brought a friend of mine. You'll remember her. And she was actually threatened by the FBI, told that if she wouldn't cop to the fact that somehow I was involved in some pay-for-play scheme, that she could face trouble. And so I do believe that there are people at the Department of Justice who are trying to smear me, providing for...
Look at Tucker's face!
Flights and hotel rooms for people that you're dating who are of legal age is not a crime. And I'm just troubled that the lack of any sort of legitimate investigation into me would then convert into this extortion attempt.
I don't remember the woman you're speaking of or the context at all, honestly, but I...
Oh, no! No. Oh, no. Oh, no. Let's go back to this, because this was important, and I stopped it right in the middle of it like a jerk.
I was involved in some pay-for-play scheme that...
Wait, we got to go back a little further. Okay, let's try this again.
That's really not very clear from these news stories.
Okay, so what he said is, what's the allegation? Okay, what's the allegation here? Is what Tucker asked, because it's not very clear from the news stories. So he's asking Matt Gaetz, tell me what the allegation is so we can clear this up, because the news stories aren't very clear on it, okay? Matt Gaetz' answer is a pretty weird one to that. I haven't watched this, by the way. I don't know what's going to happen in any of this. So I'm watching this for the first time.
Yeah, again, I only know what I've read in the New York Times.
Okay.
I can say that actually you and I went to dinner about 2 years ago. Your wife was there. And
now there's a weird story he tells here about this third woman, right? Because it's Tucker and his wife, Matt Gaetz and his wife, and then a third woman friend of his. But then he talks about dating people who are of legal age. This is the weird thing, right? Like, let's pay attention to that, okay?
I brought a friend of mine, you'll remember her, and she was actually threatened by the FBI, told that if she wouldn't cop to the fact that somehow I was involved in some pay-for-play scheme, that she could face trouble. And so I do believe that there are people at the Department of Justice who are trying to smear me, providing for flights and hotel rooms for people that you're dating who are of legal age is not a crime.
Ooh. What? Flights and hotel room of legal age who's not a crime. He's not married. Wait, so he's not married? We're going to Wikipedia this. Because I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to. Matt Gaetz. All right. Domestic partner, Ginger Lucky 2020 engaged. Okay, so he's engaged to someone now. Never said he had his wife with him, just a friend. Okay, that's me. That's me hearing something. Okay, so this is why I look, right? This is why I look. I want to make sure I hear things right. So I'm going to go back a little bit in this story. We're going to listen again because I want to make sure I've got the story right.
That's really not very clear from these news stories.
Yeah, again, I only know what I've read in the New York Times. I can say that actually you and I went to dinner about 2 years ago. Your wife was there, and I brought a friend of mine.
Okay, so your wife was there. I brought a friend of mine. I imposed my trad Catholic beliefs. Matt Gaetz is 38. I'm like, well, he's probably married by now because he's got to be. Okay.
Remember her? And she was actually threatened by the FBI, told that if she wouldn't cop to the fact that somehow I was involved in some pay-for-play scheme, that she could face trouble. And so I do believe that there are people at the Department of Justice who are trying to smear me, providing for flights and hotel rooms for people that you're dating who are of legal age is not a crime.
You're right. Providing for flights and hotel rooms for someone who is of legal age is not a crime. That is a true statement.
I'm just troubled that the lack of any sort of legitimate investigation into me would then convert into this extortion attempt.
I don't remember the woman you're...
Wait a minute. Okay, before that was a weird line there too.
Legitimate rooms for people that you're dating who are of legal age is not a crime. And I'm just troubled that the lack of any sort of legitimate investigation into me would then convert into this extortion attempt.
The lack of a legitimate investigation into me is that's a weird sentence. Like, I can't honestly say that I would ever use that phrase. Well, the lack of a legitimate investigation into me would permute or convert into this extortion attempt. That's a weird phrase. Like, what's going on? So Ginger Lucky is 26. Okay, so it's not her. It's not her. So that's good. This is and again, no judgment. Look, the guy's under attack. Let me be very clear on this. The guy is under attack. I have no bias either way on Matt Gaetz. He could be stark innocent for all I know. And this interview isn't telling me anything. I'm just pointing out there's some weird things he's saying. It's not weird like, oh, this is weird, he probably did it. I don't know if this guy did anything wrong at all. He's under attack. He's under a lot of pressure. He's a public person. These things are hard to navigate. You should always have help navigating these things. So I'm not trying to implicate him. I'm just pointing out some strange things that he's saying, okay?
I don't remember the woman you're speaking of or the context at all, honestly. But I would like to know who. So they're saying there is a 17-year-old girl who you had a relationship with. Is that true? And who are they? Who is this girl? What are they talking about at the New York Times?
The person doesn't exist. I have not had a relationship with a 17-year-old. That is totally false. The allegation, as I read it in the New York Times, is that I've traveled with some 17-year-old in some relationship. That is false, and records will bear that out to be false.
That's a good denial. That's a very good denial. So that's a good job.
How long has this investigation been going on? Do you know?
I don't know.
When were you first informed of it?
Again, I really saw this as a deeply troubling challenge for my family on March 16th when people were, talking about a minor and that there were pictures of me with child prostitutes. That's obviously false. There will be no such pictures because no such thing happened. But really on March 16th was when this got going from the extortion standpoint.
So what happens next? I mean, you can see there is this.
That was a weird answer again. When were you first informed of the investigation? Let's go back to that. And again, this is why you should have someone navigate this. Someone disinterested, detached, like an attorney, right? Navigate this for you.
Again, I really saw this as a deeply troubling challenge for my family on March 16th.
That's not when you were informed of the investigation. That's when you found it to be a deeply troubling challenge for you, your family.
When people were, talking about a minor and that there were pictures of me with child prostitutes. That's obviously false. There will be no such pictures because no such thing happened. But really on March 16th was when this got going from the extortion standpoint.
So again, here's the answer. When did you learn about the investigation into you? I learned about it from the New York Times yesterday. Just like everybody else, right? Or today or whatever it was. That's when I learned about it. You called me up. I had read the New York Times article about 2 hours, or your producer called me up. I read the New York Times article 2 hours before. I found out there was an investigation into me. Or when we got the extortion thing, we went to talk to the FBI. They mentioned that there's actually an ongoing investigation into me, which I was not aware of. That was on March 24th, whatever it was. But I informed them that this was going on with the extortion thing, and I think it's related. That's the answer. He didn't give an answer. I hate when people do that. Again, have someone else deal with this stuff for you is the lesson from this video.
So what happens next? I mean, you can see there is this investigation, I guess a criminal investigation. I'm not quite sure where the sex trafficking part comes in. Again, for the fifth time, I don't really understand this story very well. But where does it go from here? I mean, you've made an allegation against someone by name on the air and accused him of trying to extort millions of dollars from your family. What happens tomorrow?
Well, what was supposed to happen was the transfer of this money that would have implicated the former colleague of these current DOJ officials. But that's obviously not going to happen tomorrow because the New York Times story was leaked in order to quell that investigative effort. So here's what needs to happen next. The FBI and the Department of Justice must release the tapes that are in their possession that were done at their direction. Those tapes will show that I am innocent and that the whole concept of sex charges against me.
Listen to Papa Nick. Get the tape. Get the tape. Get the tape. Get the tape ahead of time. Don't beg the FBI and the DOJ for a tape later. Get the effing tape. Get the tape. If Matt Gaetz would have come up to me, if he would have asked me, hey, I'm going to wear a wire for the FBI, get the tape. What do you mean? Get whatever. I don't care what else is going to happen. Get the tape. Get the wire. You're a congressman. Get the tape. You might have to release this on your own. Get the tape. Get the effing tape. Oh, we can do that? Yes, of course you can do that. Matt Gaetz is a lawyer, by the way. He should know this. This is why you get someone disinterested to represent you. This is why lawyers don't represent themselves. Okay? Very, very important. And this is evidence of that. This is proof positive. You don't represent yourself because a lawyer would tell Matt Gaetz to get the tape. For some reason, Matt Gaetz didn't tell Matt Gaetz to get the tape because he's emotionally involved, he's stressed, he's under attack. And again, this has nothing to do with his innocence or guilt. Lots of innocent people get accused of lots of stuff all the time. You will never find me simping for law enforcement or the FBI or DOJ or anything like that. Matt Gaetz is, in this scenario, 100% innocent. Get the tape. Every time, get the effing tape. Always get the tape. Always. And if you have any means at all, hire an attorney to represent you. Gaetz shouldn't be on Tucker Carlson. Gaetz' attorney should be on Tucker Carlson because Gaetz gave weird answers here. Tucker Carlson says to the attorney for Matt Gaetz, hey, when was Matt Gaetz informed? When did he find out about this investigation? You know what? He wasn't really informed of the investigation until we read it in the New York Times articles. We had some inklings that things were going on back on March 16th when things started to circulate in the media. And that's how this stuff happens, right? That is how the swamp permeates these sort of rumors, and they use them to their advantage to attack conservatives. Tucker, you know about this. You've been attacked yourself on multiple issues. What the fake news and the fake media does, they create a narrative. They go ahead and circulate that narrative, and it often catches people like my client off guard, and then they're forced to respond to this sort of information. My client saw this stuff on March 16th and knew something was coming, but that's not the only thing that happened. He also, as we discussed earlier, his dad received these text messages in this extortion attempt. We believe these two things are related, and we're working with the FBI and the DOJ right now to link up these two things. We see corruption all over the swamp. And Tucker, I know you see that corruption because you report on it every day. There you go. That's how you handle that. Or you just say, March 24th. When my father mentioned the extortion to the FBI, they said, yeah, there's an ongoing investigation. This is probably a linked thing. Or you say March 30th, when I read the New York Times article. Now, we were involved in a parallel investigation going back to March 24th, as I mentioned earlier, when my father got the text message, and we're talking about this wire transfer, and we see these two things as related. And we've got the tape here because he's got an attorney. That's me. I recommended he get the tape. You got to get the tape. Any of these things have to happen. You have to do these things. You have to manage this. You're a congressman. You're a public person. You have to manage your reputation. It's way more important to you than the FBI's investigation into this weirdo. So that's all I got. That's all I got.
Me was really just a way to try to bleed my family out of money and probably smear my name because I am a well-known, outspoken conservative, and I guess that's out of style in a lot of parts of the country right now.
Matt Gaetz, I appreciate your coming on tonight.
Thanks for giving me the chance to tell the truth, Tucker. I appreciate it.
It's a more interesting and complicated story than I knew from reading about it. Thank you very much.
I don't think Tucker believes him. Do you? Now, Tucker is a stone-faced poker player. I could be reading Tucker wrong. Absolutely. That's his job, is to be read wrong, right? Like that's the whole shtick of Tucker Carlson. But I don't think Tucker believes him.
Matt Gaetz interview, that was one of the weirdest interviews I've ever conducted. That story just appeared in the news a couple of hours ago. And on the certainty that there's always more than you read in the newspaper, we immediately called Matt Gaetz and asked him to come on and tell us more, which, as you saw, he did. I don't think that clarified much, but it certainly showed this is a deeply interesting story, and we'll be following it. Don't quite understand it, but we'll bring you more when we find out.
That should tell you everything you need to know about how Tucker feels on that. It could be a hit job on Matt Gaetz, but Matt Gaetz did himself no favors in that interview. Again, it's why you should have an attorney represent you to handle these sort of things. So we'll see how this pans out. Of course, very interesting. If Matt Gaetz, if there's some solid evidence on this, if Matt Gaetz is guilty, he'll get charged and he'll go to jail. Or probably won't go to jail because he's a congressman. But if he's, if there's no information on this, if it's all part of some plot, hopefully that will be borne out. That would be the ideal thing, obviously. My personal stance is everybody is innocent until proven guilty. Matt Gaetz included. I haven't seen any evidence that Matt Gaetz has done anything wrong in this. The only evidence I've seen that makes me at all suspicious is Matt Gaetz' own answers, which were just weird. That doesn't mean he did anything. I think a lot of people are weird. They're perfectly innocent of any crimes. That's fine. Matt Gaetz is a lawyer. Yeah, silly goose. I get that he's a lawyer. That's why you should have some other lawyer represent you. And every lawyer knows that too. You have another lawyer represent you because you are too close to the situation. It involves you. So we'll check it out. We'll keep following it and see what happens with that story. It's very interesting. Thank you for sending the chat about it. Gerard Garvin says, Nick doesn't pull punches, nor does he throw people away because of dumb shies they do, which is why I hate him. Linda Marie says, Chauvin's lawyer asked a witness if he called him a fucking pussy ass bitch. The female firefighter was reprimanded by the judge twice, also because words equal violence. A black guy beat the shit out of an Asian guy and choked him out for saying the N-word on the New York subway. Damn. Yeah, the Chauvin trial's been pretty interesting. I haven't watched it. They picked the worst time. Or maybe I picked the worst time. I'm on vacation in Florida. I'm hanging out with my family. I'm hanging out with my kids. I'm hanging out with my parents. I'm hanging out with my wife. And I'm not sitting watching 8 hours of the most interesting trial in the world because instead I sat outside and I fed this giant bird that hangs out at my parents' house from time to time. So it was... it's a good time. I haven't been watching the whole trial. I've been getting the news flash updates like you guys, and they're very interesting. I do hope to get some streaming of the trial in, but I don't know when or how that's going to happen. So apologies for that. There's some great coverage going on out there. Nate, the lawyer, has been covering and making some very uncomfortable points for people, which you have to remember. And this is my advice to everybody on the Chauvin trial, is when the lawyers on YouTube are talking to you about how the trial is going, you've got to detach for just a minute from your personal opinions about the trial, because the lawyers probably are too. All right. The lawyers probably are too. Like if I were going to cover some things, Nate the lawyer was getting some heat for him talking about the cause of death of George Floyd as regards to the trial. And this is a very sticky subject. I've dealt with it a couple times here on the channel, and people always get kind of combative with me in the comments, which is fine. I love combative comments, by the way. I like responding and interacting to them. They don't bother me. But this is a tough one for us as lawyers because with Chauvin's trial, there are 5 medical experts who are going to testify that the cause of death of George Floyd was the knee on the neck. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that was the cause of death. You don't have to believe it or anything like that. But that's a real problem for Chauvin's defense team to overcome. And that's not an opinion. That's a reality. 5 people with all sorts of medical credentials are going to come up and they're going to testify that the knee on the neck of Floyd, Chauvin's knee on Floyd's neck, caused Floyd's death. They're going to say that over the fentanyl in his system. They're going to say that over the COVID. They're going to say that over everything else. And that is part of the challenge that the defense team has to overcome. That's not a lawyer's opinion on what caused the death of Chauvin. Like that doesn't, or caused the death of Floyd. I keep mixing up the names. I don't care personally one way or another about Chauvin's guilt or innocence. I don't know the guy. If he killed Floyd, he killed Floyd. If Floyd killed himself, Floyd killed himself. That's how it goes, right? That's not my thing. But if I'm telling you that a big problem for the defense is that they have to overcome 5 medical experts saying that the knee on the neck of Floyd is what killed him, you can spam in the chat all day that he overdosed on fentanyl. Unless the defense has an expert testify that the fentanyl overdose is what caused the death of Floyd, then the fentanyl overdose, for the purposes of the trial, is not what caused the death of Floyd. And that is a big difference between the internet and between court, is that you have admissible evidence. You have not just admissible evidence, but available evidence. You have available testimony from experts, and that really complicates things. And so when lawyers are trying to explain this stuff on YouTube, it gets very visceral for people. And I see that on some of Nate's stuff, and he's out there giving the uncomfortable truth about the trial. Whether or not you agree with that evidence isn't really relevant. What matters is what the jury decides based on the testimony before them. So give us lawyers a little leeway to explain kind of the legal happenings in the trial. Nate should be given a lot. He's been on the prosecution side of things. He's been on the defense side of things. He's a very experienced lawyer, and I would suggest listening to him because he's a really smart guy, and he's definitely a good-natured guy. But that being said, he's been doing some coverage of it. I do expect to do some coverage of it too. So we'll see as it goes. This trial is expected to last 4 weeks. So, there should be plenty to cover. I do want to go back. I'm going to go back and watch the opening arguments, and hopefully I want to put up a summary video of the opening arguments either tomorrow or Wednesday, because I think there'll be a great sort of intro tool for people into the trial and where the two teams are on this, but I haven't gotten a chance to watch them. They happened while I was on a plane. Okay, so next, go ask David Jose. The law is corrupted. That's why there's so much resistance to it. Yeah, I pal, believe me. I know. I'm a lawyer, not because I have faith in the courts. Okay, so here we go. Toxicity. So these are some more super chats, and then we're gonna get into this Ethan Ralph thing. I know this has gone on way longer than I thought it would. Toxicity says, "Hey Nikki, been down for weeks with a bad back, and your streams have been one of the only things keeping me sane. Going for surgery tomorrow, finally. So hopefully I'm not stuck with that nose as the highlight of my day." Toxicity. I hope everything works out for you. You know what? I specifically pray, and I hope that offends someone, for the wisdom of the doctors and for God's hands to be with them as they work on you, and that their wisdom, their knowledge, their experience, and their training all come together, and that their hands are steady, and that all the operation goes very well for you. Lorik Project says that white balance looked like a 70s tube TV. Yeah, it was balanced against the daylight. These shades do not actually block out a bunch of light. A bunch of daylight still comes through. So they're not great at it. Stega says, not sure if you heard about the auto keycard ATF case, but you should get CRS Firearms on to talk about it. He's doing what you did for Vic. For him, get him in touch with Kendra Paris. Auto keycard guy needs a pro Second Amendment lawyer in Florida. Okay, I'll look into it. Into it. Bad Vibe says, don't forget YouTube hidden the dislike count from lying Biden. Yes. Andrew War Snowboard says, someone who only wants to watch Batman movies would benefit from a Rocky friendship, because after Rocky, he'd probably want to watch Rambo as well. Also, the title of this stream is 100% War Snowboard Pun Academy approved. I figured you would like it, Andrew. Andrew is a fan of the puns. Tamara Holloway says, my mom made a GoFundMe to turn my room onto a sterile recovery room for after surgery on my skull and brain. Dura only have until April 8th. Prayers and positive thoughts under medical supplies for Tamara by Kimberly Baxter. Okay, guys. So Tamara has a GoFundMe up on GoFundMe, medical supplies for Tamara. If you want to check that out. And I don't know if any of the mods want to grab that link and share it. Tamara's been a friend of the show forever. So, I hope everything works out for you as well, Tamara. The gray one says, evening, Nick, just about to clock out. How is the Sunshine State treating you? And hypocrisy from concerned people about the coof? It's more likely than you'd think. Yeah, the Sunshine State is treating me very well. The weather here is absolutely lovely. And it's always great to visit my parents. So AG Cast says, I wanted to thank you, Nick and Ken Jennings. Spoke to y'all a while ago on a call-in stream about guns and 3D printing. That got me to look into it more, and now I've made a channel about it. Take this 20 as a thanks. Hey, thank you, AG Cast. I hope you are enjoying that. I do want to 3D print a bunch of guns. That would be awesome. That'd be super fun. I really want a Ghost Gunner 3, and I gotta reach out to Defense Distributed, because I want them to lend me a Ghost Gunner 3, and I can have it mill out an 80% lower while we're talking. I think that would be the coolest stream ever, right? Like, we got this thing going off, we put the block in, and then we talk for the, however many hours it takes for it to mill out that 80% lower, and then we assemble the gun on stream. I think that'd be an awesome live stream. Winston Joseph says, did Nick just advocate for watching Face Off tonight? I did not. Don't you dare lie about me. Tina said, Nick, I watch in bed every night, so 26 million from the GoFundMe money, or I tell Lady Rackets you're in bed with me almost every night. Jason McConnell says, he wouldn't be here if he hired experts like Alan Dershowitz or Ghislaine Maxwell. Ideally, both. Ghislaine Maxwell, come on. Snuggle Struggle says, look Gaetz up. It's all about him and this allegation, or him contemplating a Newsmax gig. Perception is key. People will always remember him now as this, not the outcome. Keep them on their toes. Keep eyes off Dems/Biden. I agree. Yeah. And when you type in Matt Gaetz, this is the top story and the allegations about him. That's why I say you got to release the tapes, because releasing the wired tapes is the only thing that could unseat the SEO that's going on with the rest of it. Wendell 2020 says, hi, Nick. Today's my birthday. So happy to share my birthday bucks with you. Oh, thank you. Been watching your channel for 2 years. Channel brings me lots of joy and laughs. Thank you for making my birthday awesome. Hey, thanks, Wendell. I appreciate it. Happy birthday to you. I hope you have a great one. I want to talk about one thing real quick. C Goody 564 says, F you, Susan, no notification. So, I just want to talk about this because I was talking to YouTube, my YouTube representative, and they said, not only do you have to enable notifications on the channel, you also have to enable YouTube notifications on your Android or iPhone app. And that's something that a lot of people don't get, is you have to enable notifications from the app or the web page or wherever you're looking at YouTube. You got to make sure you got notifications there, as well as notifications on the channels that you like. I know for me, I turn off the notifications from a bunch of apps because my phone buzzes all day, and all I want to do is throw it in a skeet shooting thing and blast it out of the sky. So you got to do that. I have still not getting them. Well, that's the shadow banning. I mean, that's part of the deal. Let's do this. Are y'all ready for the Ethan Ralphing? This is it's time. Right? It's time for Ethan Ralph, I think. I know it took so long. Sorry, that Matt Gaetz question was really interesting. I wanted to go through it. And at the time I made the link, I wasn't aware of the story. 200 Watt Studio, I don't think I missed your super chat. Well, I see yours, but I typically do the $20 ones first, and we do the rest later. But I'll read yours because I see it here. It says, Tucker went on later. Oh, here we go. Tucker went on later to update. Gaetz was a former voice actor for Funimation and had several other voice actors all file recent complaints against him. Thank you. Thank you for that, 200 Watt Studio. Very good. Very good. All right. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. This is the story of Ethan Ralph and Riley. Let me get all the stupid disclaimers out ahead of time. I am friends with both internet friends, whatever. I have met Ethan Ralph. I've met Riley. I don't have a problem with either Ethan Ralph or Riley. Oh God. I don't have a bias in this situation. I don't care. I met Digine once, very, very briefly, in Tampa at Road Rage. I met Mint Salad for 5 seconds. I've met probably Riley and Bird are who I've talked to the most because of Road Rage Minneapolis. They're fine. I don't care about I'm going to be accused of gunt guarding, and I'm going to be accused of gunt guarding, whether it be for Ralph's gunt or Riley's gunt. I don't care about either of them, who's right, who's wrong. I am neutral. It means nothing to me. I hope you guys understand that. I'm going to make fun of both of them for being fat and getting in a fight because I'm an old man. I'm not going to get in a fight with anybody because that's a bunch of wasted time. But I want to show you my favorite thing that has come out of this, okay? This is my favorite art. And I legitimately, I don't know the backstory on this yet, so I've only watched the video on mute. We're gonna watch the whole thing, and it's important to note this is from Riley's perspective. This video we're watching. Where the fuck is it? Hold on. It's from Riley's perspective, so we have to keep that in mind. I don't know if Ralph has responded anywhere other than his tweet saying, quoting Training Day and saying King Kong ain't got nothing on him, which is a weird quote. But I don't care. I'm going to be accused of guarding something. I think it's all retarded. I think everybody involved in this acted childish. And, but that's the internet, right? Like, you guys want us to self-destruct. That's the whole point. But I really want to point out, and my Twitter on my computer screwed up. So this, I'm going to show you on my phone because this is the absolute best thing to come out of this. Are you ready? Look at this art. Look at this art. Oh my God, it's beautiful. It's When Gunts Collide, a love story. Oh, God. Oh, it's so funny. Forbidden love when guns collide. Okay. So this is the here's the thing. There are people who hate Ethan Ralph, and I get it. I get why you hate Ethan Ralph, and that's fine. I don't care to change your mind. Just like with the revenge porn stuff, it's easy to blow things out of proportion on the internet and say that, oh, the cops are going to do this, or they're definitely going to put somebody in jail for that, or don't get your hopes up. This is a Spurg fight, and cops probably don't want to get involved in a Spurg fight. And I know the internet can prove a lot of things. And I said this with the I got so much shit for this, but I said this with the revenge porn stuff. Just because on the internet you can show all of the tangible links does not mean for a misdemeanor crime that the prosecutor has a $10,000 to $20,000 digital forensics budget to prove out what you can show on the internet really easily. Showing this stuff in court and making a case for it in court is a big difference than what's on the internet, okay? And that's really, really important. So you can go ahead and hate whoever you want in this. I don't care. I'm not going to tell you to hate or dislike or like anybody. I think there's a bunch of stuff that was handled wrong here, and we're going to talk about that. But if your dick gets hard thinking about how, oh, we're going to take this person's going to go to prison, you got to stop right now. Most crimes in this country go unpunished. The overwhelming majority of crimes. It doesn't change just because it's on the internet. Okay. Alan Cochran, I see. David Jose, very important asshole. Yes. Can you message me off of YouTube with that so that I can have a record of it? Because I'm going to forget. So here we go. Here is the video. I'm going to try and play it as much.
Yo. Do I look 5'1", bitch? You are 5'1". Do I...
Uh-oh. I was going to play it uninterrupted as possible. Ralph said, do I look 5'1", a recurring meme, because Ralph is not a tall guy, that he is 5'1", and Riley says, you are 5'1".
Look 5'1", bitch. 5'1".
Do I look 5'1",
Yep, that's me.
Let's focus on this area right here. We need some crunches to occur. Now, as a purveyor of the traditional dad bod, I can use some crunches too, but whoo boy. So here's Riley talking. And again, it's important to note, this is from Riley's perspective.
You're probably wondering how I got myself in this situation.
You deserve a rest, Vizzy. I'll explain what's going on. 6 months ago, my ex-fiance cheated on me with infamously short-tempered internet streamer Ethan Ralph, and then admitted it while he...
The voice in the background you'll hear is formerly known as Digibro, now known as DigiNay, because Digibro is a woman, apparently. So that is that. And ex-fiance is, oh God, I don't remember her name. I think I met her, but anyway, she cheated on Digibro with Ralph. So that, I guess, just goes to show you that if you go trans, you can expect, if you become a woman, your woman will seek out a man, even if it's Ethan Ralph.
He was over at my house to explain that his then 18-year-old girlfriend no longer spent her nights drinking with him because she had become pregnant. The next morning, my ex-fiance and her father came to the house to collect as much of her stuff as could fit in their car, and her dad stole my Nintendo Switch. 6 months later, as my housemates, seen here kicking the shit out of a dwarf planet called Ethan Ralph, and I were preparing to move, we asked her to come get the rest of her stuff. When she came into town for a court date though, she demanded that my boyfriend Bird, housemate Riley, and I vacate the house while she and Ralph were gathering her things. For some reason, they thought Mint would be okay with them being there, even though she can't stand either of them. Here is the conversation that my ex-fiance and I had after I told her that this was unacceptable.
All right. There's a lot to unpack here. This is a common problem with disputes involving renters, domestic situations, okay? And Brett can probably attest to this. Everybody wants the cops to help them resolve these situations, and the cops can't. These are civil issues, and we're going to come into that later on when there's a phone call to the police that's recorded. And again, I've watched this. I haven't read or haven't heard the audio, but some of the transcripts of the phones are on here. And the problem with this is these are all civil situations. The cops cannot determine who owns what because you called the cops and said that you own that bike or you own that Nintendo, whatever. That's not their job. Their job is not to figure out who owned what. And so them coming to show up at the house and saying, oh, you need to give blah, 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 is without like some real definitive proof of ownership, they're not going to do it. They're going to go, this is a civil issue. It's a real frustrating thing as a lawyer because even in times where I could prove definitively that my client owns something, I still can't get a cop to go enforce it. In fact, I even had a court order for a cop to accompany my client to get into a house and get my client's things out. And the cop showed up and the person refused to allow the cop entry. And the cop said, well, this is a civil matter. I can't get involved. I'm on the phone with the cop saying, get my client in the house. There's a court order. And the cop saying, well, if they don't let me in, they don't let me in. This is the problem with using law enforcement to enforce civil orders. It doesn't really work. It's a mess. It's a very big mess with this stuff. So here we have some allegations that there's some leftover property at the house. We have allegations of theft. We have insults being thrown. Again, this is a one-sided sort of thing, but you have the long and short is you have two people who've broken up approximately 6 months ago or something like that. And you have some property that's left over at the house that needs to be retrieved. And the one party is saying, everybody needs to be out of the house when I come get things. Well, that's not going to work, right? Because they could just loot the house. Nobody wants to have that. That's an unreasonable position to have. Now, the other party has a couple people there who have a problem with what's going on. So you've got a recipe for some sort of disaster. Now, a cop in this situation is useful to facilitate a peaceful transfer. However, the cop isn't there to decide who owns what or whatnot. You know, I don't know if a cop ever showed up. Obviously, a cop is not there while the fighting is occurring.
Hello?
Hi, can you clarify your intentions exactly, please?
I will be coming through this weekend. I have not picked a time yet. I have a very busy schedule.
Okay.
I will be coming through this weekend. It is a 2-hour drive. I can't come today because Ethan has to go to the hospital to see his mom.
I understand.
We have a time crunch. And can't come today because, for whatever reason, you bitched out.
Bitched out on what exactly?
I was coming.
All right, so do you want us to set your stuff aside for you?
No, do not touch any of my things.
Okay, well,
And
because
I
we're...
know that you and Bird are using my cooking utensils. I will just go through and take my stuff. Don't touch my stuff.
Okay, you're not going to be here alone if you do that. I hope you realize. We do not trust you to be in this house. That's why...
I didn't say anything about you not being there. I said you should not be there when Ralph's there.
You said that you wanted only to be there.
I don't want you or Bird to be there.
Okay, but I don't trust Ralph to be in my house.
Ralph is not going to be there. I'm coming by myself.
Okay.
So that was really weird. That she says, I don't want you to be there while Ralph is there. And he says, I don't trust Ralph in my house. Ralph isn't going to be there. Why'd you mention it then?
Okay. So you're going to come down.
I'm coming by myself with the police.
Okay.
You have a gun. And you're mentally ill. So I'm coming.
That's all. You have a gun and you're mentally ill. I mean, that's the look. We can make all sorts of jokes about Digi. I don't know of any confirmed mental illness, and saying someone is mentally ill with a gun is saying you're mentally ill with a gun is not something I endorse if someone has not been confirmed, because that's a crime. That's a criminal act. People who are mentally ill are not allowed to possess firearms, typically speaking. So I don't like accusing people of those sort of crimes. They are pointing out that Virginia is a one-party consent state, so they're in Virginia where all of this is happening. So all of the recording of these phone calls is supported by the state law. All right, so, but yeah, but I'm not a big fan of people making these sort of accusations, but they're making them in private, so it's not that big of a deal.
Is you calling me mentally ill?
Just a finer point on things. Look, I'm trained in the fine art of negotiation, and telling a person that you're negotiating with that they're mentally ill and you don't trust them is not an effective way to negotiate some sort of agreement with them. That's very advanced sort of stuff. I mean, they don't teach you this stuff in the intro class to negotiation. You have to go through like 12 years of special ops negotiation training before you get the important lesson of calling the other person that you're negotiating with mentally ill and saying you don't trust them isn't a great way to get what you want. So look, you only get the high level training here.
Goodbye.
For the record, I am not mentally ill, and I sold the gun that she demanded I buy at the start of lockdown, never even having loaded it once. I also went...
And again, not to put too fine a point on it, but Digine saying she's not mentally ill that's debatable.
To the police and confirmed that there is no such thing as a police escort to your ex's house to get your stuff. We looked into the protocol.
There absolutely is. So whatever the police, it's not a statute, but you can request a police escort to make sure violence does not occur while you retrieve property of a former residence. That's a very, very common thing. So I don't know what they actually ask this. This is why I say I'm neutral on this. I don't really care. And you're getting one side of the story here, but absolutely, people ask for police escorts all the time to facilitate a smooth transfer without violence or intimidation of property. It happens all the fucking time.
For this situation, and we're told to leave her things in the yard. So that's exactly what...
I'm pressing X to down on this a little bit. What we're missing is the context of the conversation with police officers. Leaving things in the yard exposes them to theft, exposes them to elements. It's not generally a recommended practice if you're trying to facilitate a nice transition of property that's amicable. This isn't an amicable transition of property. This property has been there for months. There's a lot going on here. So I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm just saying, look, if I'm trying to facilitate a peaceful transition of property between one of my clients and one of their tenants, I'm not going to say, leave it out on the yard. That's a terrible, terrible plan. Terrible plan on this.
We did. I sent her a picture of the things in the yard and then blocked her number. So her boyfriend decided to message me instead. I'll be down there with May by 10 tonight, period. If her stuff is gone, ... I'd advise against letting that happen, comma. Let's put it that way, period.
Bravado aside, I would advise against it too. Let me just go ahead and point out that if you are a landlord or if you are the property holder who's holding on to someone's stuff that they have not abandoned because they've expressed an interest in retrieving that stuff. Now, this is going to be state law specific, but in general principles, if you put stuff outside and then someone takes it, you put it outside, you were responsible in some way to some extent. And again, it's state specific. I'm not making any claims about this, but if you put stuff outside and it gets taken, you could be legally liable for the taking of that property and for the loss of that property. And in Minnesota, specifically, if you are a landlord and you do not preserve that property, you could not only be liable for the value of that property, you could be liable for triple the value of that property if you are the person who indeed causes or induces the loss or damage to that property. This is why I'm suggesting that in this case, again, outside of the bluster, I'd advise against letting it happen too. Now, probably for different reasons than Ralph would, because I don't want you to be liable for the triple the cost of the property. Ralph, I think, is talking about fisticuffs or gunticuffs, whatever it may be. But that being said, from a legal standpoint, if you are responsible for someone's property, your state law is going to control how it is. And abandonment of property is not as obvious as it may seem. It's a really sticky subject. So you may be liable even if that property has been sitting in your house for 4, 5, 6 months. If the person expressed an interest in retrieving it and you have constructive knowledge of retrieving that property as an interest, and you then put that property outside where it gets damaged or taken or lost or stolen, any of those things, you could be liable for up to triple the cost of that property. It's a very, very messy situation. And now a lot of times that property isn't worth enough to go to court over, but sometimes it is. So thank you, Alan Cochran. I'll check out your email. And we will be getting the rest of it too, one way or another. Oh, wait, here we go.
Period. And we will be getting the rest of it, comma, too, period. One way or the other, period. This is my personal guarantee to you motherfuckers. No punctuation. When I blocked his number, he decided to involve the completely as of yet unrelated third party of ASE Riley, aka the Vizier of Yig. He immediately forfeited any potential goodwill or bargaining power in this series of Twitter DMs. Send me your phone number.
Okay, so he involved Riley in this because he knows Riley's at the house. The other person has blocked him. I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable, honestly. If you know someone's at the house and you're saying, and the other person blocked you and you want to communicate about it, I don't know if that's unreasonable. Now, I'm not saying that Ralph handles this reasonably. I don't know what happens next. We'll see.
I'll be at that house by 10 p.m. EST tonight. And if any of May's stuff is gone out of they front yard, ... well, I'd advise that not to be the case. I'm not fucking around, period. I'm gonna be there, period. Whenever you see this, comma, call, period, but I'm coming regardless, period. I don't care.
Okay, so, again, Ralph is going beyond what I would advise saying in all this stuff. Ralph has a habit of posturing on this. It's part of who he is. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't advise it. I wouldn't do it. It's not a good look, and it's certainly not going to be a good look as things progress.
Care about any of this, and no one here has any legal obligation to protect garbage that was left here 6 months ago. Grow the fuck up, retard. Suck my dick, bitch. I'll be coming through, and you can say it to my face if you're man enough. I will 100% be at the house tonight, period. It can go well or not, period. Up to you fucking clowns, period. But you—
Stop saying period. Joke about you wishing you had one.
Motherfuckers now have my full attention, period. That house, asterisk. Lamau. At some point, he remembered that he had Riley's phone number and reposted to him the messages he'd sent to me. For some reason. Hours later, I received a call from a frazzled police officer warning me that she'd gotten a manic report from a woman who never gave her name and thought that a call from the police might ensure that the things she didn't notice in the picture I sent were left in the yard.
Okay. So here we go.
To explain what all is going on, but it's, ultimately it's civil to the best of the just try to mediate things to move on or whatever. But so the purpose of my call is that she said that when she looked at the picture, there's some things that aren't out there.
I think this is a call that cops have to deal with all the time. I'm not a cop, but just a guess. They have to deal with this stuff all the time. When someone's moving out, someone's got the property, they take a picture. Here's your stuff. I just want to prove to you that I have your stuff. And you're like, wait, I don't see X, Y, Z.
Okay. Okay.
I'm telling you it's civil, you do what you want. She pots her pants.
I'm telling you it's civil. Now, the officer has used two versions of civil. At the first part of the call, she said, I hope it's civil, as in, I hope you guys are civil towards each other. There's no violence. We can make this happen. Now she's saying, I'm telling you it's civil. You can do what you want. That is not legal advice, by the way. It's civil, you can do what you want means it's not a criminal matter. The officer can't get involved in a civil matter. This is a dispute between two parties over ownership of goods. You handle it however you want. The cop cannot tell you what to do.
Cast iron, walk, the Dutch
Yeah.
oven. And the only other thing she mentioned was econ, what she thinks about
Yeah.
anime, what's their animation style. And that's all
Oh, now we see it's degenerate anime. It's weeb shit, of course.
she said. So
The things that she's talking about actually are there. She just couldn't see them in the picture, but that's neither here nor there. I understand everything that she's talking about, and she'll be satisfied.
Proper response by Digi there.
Thank you.
all right. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate your cooperation.
Yeah, no problem. Bye.
Okay.
Alas, the fat gunt that couldn't skipped out on his appointed 10 p.m. arrival, missing our entire 4-hour live stream, and turning up around 2 in the morning.
If you want to properly handle a situation, setting up a live stream to capture the encounter isn't the right way to do it. Now, I'm not saying that it's the wrong media way to do it. Legally speaking, you are trying to set up a live stream capture of the encounter for views or whatever. That is not a legally recommended action. So, you know, I'd be remiss pointing that out. And if Ralph outplayed you on that, I mean, good job, Ralph, but I hope you got views on the live stream too. So good job if you played each other.
To be sure that these psychopaths didn't damage our property, Riley and our house guest and god-tier hip-hop producer Cranberry Dave started filming them on a GoPro and a cell phone. I will now be analyzing the footage of this encounter in extensive depth.
Now, real quickly, they left that property out on the sidewalk or out on the yard in daylight with no sign attached to it at all. Again, why I don't recommend this, why I think that's a bad play. Notice, even if they were coming at 10 p.m., it was broad daylight when they took that picture. If they waited until 10 p.m., anybody could come up and take that stuff and say, that's abandoned. That looks like abandoned property. That looks like a couch that says free couch to me. They could come up and take that and there'd be no issue with that. You don't have someone out there saying, hey, this is actually someone else's. You don't have any sign that says this is for so-and-so. You don't have anything to indicate that that property should remain there. I think that's actually a very, very poor legal decision. Now, I realize, you know, they didn't ask anybody about this or whatever, and that's fine. So that's why I'm pointing it out for you guys. If you have to deal with this stuff, putting it out on the lawn could expose you, depending on a whole bunch of factors and what state you're in, to legal liability. So that's all I'm saying on that one. The fact that they came at 2 a.m. rather than 10 p.m., you know, those are not issues that would typically absolve you of that liability, especially if you've been given constructive notice that they were coming. In my opinion, they should have maybe moved the stuff into the garage, right? Or into some sort of safe place and said, you know, they could have said, we're going to open the garage. Your stuff's in there. You can take it out of the garage. We'll stay away from you. That's fine. Or you can say, if you guys go back to your car for 10 minutes, we're going to bring all this stuff out into the driveway. We'll go back into the house. It'll be a nice transfer. And if you have any problems with anything missing, you can go ahead and text me about it later, but we're not fucking dealing with you right now. Those are ways that you handle this sort of appropriately. Okay.
Soon as the dribbling, drunken dipshit sees the door open, he immediately forgets about gathering his girlfriend's garbage and starts gunting at the camera.
Yeah, come on. Come on out here, baby.
Next, he begins tossing transphobic slurs to try and bait me into being involved, but I am on the other end of the house at this point.
Yeah, tell you that stuff out here too.
His
Why are you censoring it?
embarrassing lackey tries to mock our stream numbers.
You guys had 70 viewers on your stream.
Yeah,
Ouch.
we made $900 tonight.
Seeming to think that making $900 in a single stream on the main channel is unimpressive, but also that the assortment of 4 articles of old clothes that no one wears anymore, which we raffled off that night, are priceless merch.
On the main Digibro channel. Yeah,
Yep.
selling off priceless merch.
Indicating she hasn't finished humping Digibro's corpse. Ralph then starts to
Digibro is dead. Digibro is a dead name. Digibro has a corpse. Digine is talking. I will never fucking get used to 2021.
discussing his private business matters involving Dick Masterson, knowing full well that he's being filmed.
Why don't you ask your boss about the deal? Why don't you ask him about the deal I just made him? Don't worry about it. Okay. Dork. You don't think that's true? You're just a dork.
He equates
I agree with Riley. That was a dork move. It doesn't matter. Like, Dick isn't involved in this scenario. And Dick's business matters have nothing to do with Riley and Ralph's personal issues.
are moving into a Winnebago next month as being homeless.
You're about to be homeless.
Okay.
Calling us dorks.
Yeah, dork.
You're literally gonna be homeless, fucking go around the country like a fucking pauper fat.
Riley responds by calling him a dork a few times, and then both of the insane people outside
Riley is apparently going to be driving around the country with Bird in an RV, and I would say this to all parties involved. Hey, if you're in my area, look me up. I'll buy you all a drink. I think it'd be fun. So that being said, if Riley and Bird happen to make it to Minnesota, specifically central Minnesota, I will welcomely hang out with them. If Digi made it up to Minnesota, I would welcomely hang out with her. And if Ralph made it up to Minnesota, I would welcomely hang out with him as well.
I'd start demanding that he come deride them at a closer distance.
You're such a dork.
Get out here, bitch.
Cry more.
I'm such a dork. Come tell me I'm a dork.
Come out here.
Bitch.
Oh, I'm gonna taunt you.
Dork. Man, you won't step foot on this concrete.
I'm just filming you so you don't hurt something.
Step foot
Digi is dead. How dare you say him? Digi is dead. Don't you dead name Digi.
right here.
I won't.
On this public concrete. No, you won't.
Correct.
Riley flatly refuses
Now, just because I would buy these people a drink doesn't mean I would invite them into my home. Very, very, very important.
and reminds Ralph that were they to come to blows, it would likely end poorly for the borderline legal midget in the yard.
Okay, you're 5'2".
Bitch, I ain't 5'2". Come tell me I'm 5'2".
You're literally
You
5'2".
know I ain't 5'2".
Okay.
Apparently, Ralph
He's 5'2",
shrinks an
look.
inch by later.
At some point, Cranberry Dave comes to confirm the mini-man's stature and drops some sick bars on him as he enters a drunken frenzy up the yard.
Flashlight. Use your flashlight.
5'2"?
Let's see this shit.
Yeah.
Yo, he 5'2".
Am I 5'2"?
Not today, Satan.
Woo!
You fucking dork, dude.
Bitch, I bet you won't step out here.
I won't.
Give me a Christ is King.
You're right. You win the bet, Ralph.
Fucking fraud.
I'm filming you because you could hurt the mailbox or the yard.
Again, film them or whatever. My advice to someone like Riley at this situation would be close the door. Don't say anything. Let them take their stuff. All of this stuff, the door should be locked. They can handle this stuff by text.
I'm making sure you don't mess up
But
stuff.
You hurt my fucking shit by leaving it out in the rain.
The gun
That is a problem. Hurting stuff by leaving it out in the rain is a problem. You could be liable for that damage. However, you don't handle that here at the house. You handle that in small claims court, in housing court, in actually, here's an interesting thing. This could be a domestic relations court because this is a former partner of Digine. And there is specific court proceedings in some states for a roommate, a boyfriend, a girlfriend who lived in the same place, a spouse, all of these things. Digine has admitted in this video that this person is an ex of Digi. And so therefore they've established the quote unquote familial relation in Minnesota. any disputes between these two would potentially go to a domestic court, based on the facts that we have here. So, but my point in this is you handle those disputes in court. You don't handle them here.
Stunt guard beside him accosts us for leaving her things in the yard in the rain, even though all of it was kindly placed into plastic tubs and even covered with a tarp by a nice neighbor.
Placing in plastic tubs, if it's covered by a tarp, doesn't protect it from water damage necessarily. And again, I don't know that anything was damaged. I'm just saying these are things that you have to deal with in court, not in person. Okay, we got a couple super chats. Let's see. I got to remember to do this way because I have a different setup. Yellow and Pink Girl says, please pray for me. I've been suffering from COVID-19. Oh, Yellow and Pink Girl. I hope and pray everything works out for you. I pray that your immune system will go ahead and take care of COVID-19. I pray that any mitigating factors are weak for you, and that your immune system and other things are strong, and that you have a weak strain of COVID, and everything works out great. Arlania says 20 for the gunt cost. Be well, Nick, and stay fit, everyone. Bad Vibe says, in this specific case, might have suggested a secure storage unit for the person's possessions would have been limited liability and drama. It is, but not everybody can fork out $100 for, a secure storage unit, moving everything over there. There are ways to do it. That Bad Vibes has put out a good point. You can provide a secure storage unit if you can afford it. And actually, in many states, you can pass on that cost to the other person. A big streamer like Ralph could probably afford and agree to pay for $100 that everything could be 1 month in the secure storage facility. You can go get it whenever you want. Here you go. That way we don't have any confrontation. That's a great way to deal with that. If the person can pay for it, and it may be worth $100 to you too. So that's a good point by Bad Vibes. And Jason McConnell says, I have a storage business, 460 tenants. Biggest drama I've dealt with in all that time, divorcing cops, coming to find where the ex put things, and they always cut locks to do it. Charging them with B&E always gives me the half job. That's fantastic. Yeah. You got to get those locks that you can't cut with bolt cutters or whatever. Thank you for that, Jason. All right, we're getting to
I
this.
remind you again that the police told us to do whatever we want and that the protocol is leave it in the yard.
That's the police telling that's the police telling you they can't tell you what to do with it. And that they said it's a civil issue, do whatever you want. Doesn't actually mean do whatever you want. I have to stress this. Cops are terrible at legal advice because they don't give it. But a lot of people think cops give legal advice. This isn't the cops' fault, but they should have the disclaimer, this isn't legal advice, but do whatever you want. Because people go, oh, well, the cop said do whatever I want, therefore I'm legally in the clear. You're not. You're not at all. That was bad advice by the cop. That was terrible advice. Do not do whatever you want. They said it's a civil matter because you could be liable for what the other person receives as damage. So let's just be clear on that.
Last October.
I mean, I'll do this when you come back, too.
Come on, you guys come out every single one of you motherfuckers.
Oh, you're scary.
When Riley gets a closer look at the diminutive streamer, he corrects his gauge of the man's height down an inch.
5'1". You're 5'1".
Come on.
5'1".
Damn, Ralph just shrunk an inch. Rude.
Sending him into a bloodlust frenzy.
I wish you would. Bitch, I bet you shut the door. Huh?
He begins marching up the yard, betting that Riley will close the door on him by the time he gets there.
Close the door, lock the door. That's what you do in this situation, in my opinion.
Bitch, I bet you shut that fucking door.
Riley does not.
I bet you shut that fucking door. Do I look 5'1", bitch?
Finally, the punch-drunk planet plows through the door and shoves his fat rolls against Riley's.
Now, people have called this breaking and entering. Let's take a peek at the Virginia breaking and entering statute. Specifically, the quartering has called this breaking and entering. All right. Now, I'm looking at this fresh. I don't know. So we're in the same boat here. Here's the Virginia code. Breaking and entering dwelling house with intent to commit other misdemeanor. If any person break and enter a dwelling house while said dwelling is occupied, either in the day or nighttime, with the intent to commit any... Okay, so that's breaking and entering with intent to commit a misdemeanor. Let's... breaking and entering... into railroad cars. Okay. We have breaking and entering. Entering dwelling house with intent to commit murder. Entering dwelling house with intent to commit larceny, assault, and battery or other felony. All right. So this is the closest one. This is with intent to commit other misdemeanor. I don't know that he... It's the one above that one. Entering dwelling house with the intent to commit larceny, assault, and battery or other felony. I don't know that he has the intent to commit larceny, assault, and battery or other felony. These are tougher legal questions than we wanted to be, than we want it to be. He may not intend to commit any sort of felony or misdemeanor in this case, although possibly disorderly conduct is going on. Trespass, maybe, but they haven't asked him to leave. They haven't asked him to leave at this point. So whether or not he's trespassing at this point, they haven't said don't come in. They haven't said leave the property. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens next.
Technically, this is not a breaking and entering, but a forced entry, and it is swiftly...
Forced entry. Okay, let's try this. Forced entry. It didn't look very forced. Where's the forced entry section? Forcible entry. I'm not sure where Digi is coming up with forced entry, Virginia. Entering property of another for purposes of damaging it. Entering dwelling house with intent to commit larceny. It's not, I don't see forced entry at all. This is embarrassing, Nick. Your take is embarrassing. What take? What are you talking about? Apparently they weren't supposed to be on the property for some legal reason. No, they gave them permission to come on the property. They said your stuff is out here on the property. I don't see forced entry or breaking and entering being in the statute. Where's the statute? Give me a code number, because let's see what Digi says.
Followed with a forced exit.
Okay. Let's go. Let's back this up. Unlawful entry. Unlawful entry, Virginia. Same ones. It should be unlawful. Oh, what's this one? For the purposes of damaging it. I don't think Ralph is entering the property to damage it. Illegal entry is unlawful for any person to enter the land, dwelling, outhouse, or any other building of another for the purposes of damaging property for any of the contents thereof. Well, he did. Again, I mean, maybe he did. That would have to be proved out in court that he was intending to damage anything. Oh, you can't see the video. Sorry. I went back. So far, here's the problem. Ralph may be guilty of entering with an intent to commit another misdemeanor, which would be, let's check out Virginia Code on Disorderly Conduct. Intentional or reckless causing public inconvenience, annoyance, or harm by engaging in conduct likely to cause violence by the person. This is the closest I've got. That's disorderly conduct in public places, a street, highway, or public building, or while in or public conveyance, public places engaged. That's not, he's not in a public place. Disorderly conduct on grounds of interference with officers. The hospital. Let's see miscellaneous penal provisions. There's only one disorderly conduct here. See, here's the thing that people don't understand about criminality. Now, civil issues are different. Civil trespass, way different. Civil infractions are way different than criminal infractions, but I haven't seen anything Ralph has done specifically. Now, there may be a misdemeanor if they can prove that Ralph entered intending to cause some sort of misdemeanor assault. I don't think it was a felony assault or something like that. However, that is probably mitigated by the actions of the people filming who are inducing Ralph through insults. I'm not saying this justifies violence. I'm saying it becomes complicated to prosecute for either party at this point because both parties are exchanging insults at this point.
Do I look 5'1", bitch?
Finally, the punch-drunk planet plows through the door and shoves his fat rolls against Riley's.
He didn't plow through the door. It was an open door. They saw him coming. They had the opportunity to close the door. They're filming this. They're going to post it on YouTube. They had already set up a live stream. Look, again, the wisdom of this is different from the legal wisdom of this, right? Legally, I would say the people filming this have made a lot of errors that make it very difficult to prosecute Ethan Ralph for this. And I don't think there's going to be a prosecution. Advocate for peace, fuck you. I will play the damn thing how I want to play it. Don't you tell me what to do. You should know this by now. I'm going to do this shit my way. I'm going to analyze it as it happens. If things change, we'll go back and talk about it. That's the whole point of this. Don't tell me what to do. I don't respond well to that shit.
This is not a breaking and entering, but a forced entry, and it is swiftly followed with a forced exit.
There is no forced entry statute that I found in Virginia. So I'm not sure where Digi's getting this. Now, he may have some, whatever, may have some source on this, but I don't see it.
You're in my house.
Advocate for peace, I love you too. That's what I love about this.
Bitch, you broke in. Get out. You broke into my home, you bitch.
Now, technically, if Ralph had walked away here and pressed charges, Riley would be in a lot of trouble right now. Thankfully, the cops we showed this tape all agreed that Ralph threw away his case immediately by doing this.
Whoa, wait a minute. The cops agreed that Ralph threw away his case by fighting back? Now, again, I say there's just basically no charge here in general because you have this is two idiots slap fighting in general, but fighting back is not throwing away the case for assault. Like if Riley assaulted Ralph throwing a punch 30 seconds after that does not negate the assault that happened. That is not a thing. And again, cops are not in any way giving you legal advice. Jesus Christ. But seriously, have you ever heard of this? look, he punched you, but you hit back, so therefore you don't have an assault case. Wait, what the fuck? No, it's all of the stuff leading up to the punch that mitigates the impact of the punch. It is not anything that follows. Denial says, so an ex-convict can just enter whatever house, has their doors open and fight and no offense is committed. Look, he didn't throw the first punch, Denial. I'm not saying that they can do it. First of all, him being an ex-convict, he's apparently off probation. So being an ex-convict is irrelevant in this case. And you would do well to understand that. But that being said, Ralph may have been engaged in mitigating events leading up to that punch. I mean, he's yelling insults back and forth. Both of them are yelling insults back and forth. We may have entered into the territory of mutual combat. I'm not saying, that's why I think they don't have a good case either way on this. But trying to pin all of this on Ralph or pin all of this on Riley is stupid. This is the reality of law, guys. You have to understand this. I know the internet and internet personalities makes you want to take a particular side, but the reality of law is it's much stickier than the statutes ever make out. And you've got two people here screaming at each other across the yard like morons with a camera rolling. And that camera doesn't do either of them any justice. But the cop who says that a punch afterwards negates an initial potential assault is wrong. It would be everything leading up to that assault. And I do not think an assault occurred. Let me be very clear on this. I do not think Riley assaulted Ralph. I think what happened was a fight, not an assault. That's a very, very different thing. Ralph walked through that door knowing exactly what might happen. Riley kept that door open, knowing exactly what might happen. Ralph was screaming bitch, knowing exactly what might happen. Riley is screaming you're 5'1", knowing exactly what might happen. This is not a classic case of assault. Neither of these people is intimidated or scared for their safety. This is not necessarily a case of battery. This is just a bunch of silliness happening for YouTube clicks, frankly. Both sides. Wait, we got to go back because we gotta see the assening of Riley.
Thankfully, the cops we showed this tape all agreed that Ralph threw away his case immediately by doing this.
I hope you saw that. That was a Riley giant ass crack there.
Guns galore flailing in the night breeze as the 35-year-old
Guns galore flailing in the night breeze. That was funny. I'll give credit to Digi. That is funny. And we did almost see some gunt kissing there.
A haired alcoholic starts pulling out the 22-year-old home defender's hair like a little girl in a school fight. No longer content to watch her.
Look, if your opponent has hair, pull the hair. Pull the hair. Pull the hair every time.
Man gets some gross idiot's belly sweat all over him. Absolute unit Mint Salad jumps into the fray.
Now, Mint Salad has jumped into this fight, and that may actually be an improper sort of thing. Now, she's allegedly, here's the problem that Mint Salad has. Again, Riley threw the first punch. Which means Mint Salad isn't defending Riley necessarily from Ralph. Now it looks like a 2-on-1 weird sort of thing. I'm not saying Mint is guilty of anything, but her self-defense claim or her defense of others claim is kind of diminished by the fact that Riley threw that first punch.
Furious from being mercilessly wailed on, Ralph summons all the COVID and AIDS in his liver-spotted body and spits a mist of blood into Mint's face.
Get out of my face, bitch. You guys are fucking pathetic. Stop.
Okay. This is the thing that the internet has made a huge deal about, is that Ralph spits in Mint's face. Look, if you're being punched a whole shitload by someone and you spit in their face, that's not an assault. If you walk up to some random person and spit blood in their face, that is. But by no interpretation of law that I'm familiar with is this anything other than a punch. I mean, spitting blood in someone's face who's punching you is just a punch back. That's not an individualized crime. And again, there's a whole bunch of retardation that happens prior to this from both parties. And the fact that people are like, oh, he's spitting in a woman's face. Well, so? I mean, she's punching him in the face. I mean, if a woman was punching me in the face, first of all, I'd laugh at her. And then I would spit in her face. And then I would kick her in her vagina and send her ovaries up into her neck. I don't give a shit about you. Fuck off. But that being said, nothing about this is a particularly offensive thing or like a criminal thing. Again, in isolation, yeah, you can't walk up and spit blood on somebody. But when you're in some sort of combat, you can't expect someone to not spit or punch. Would it have been better if he would have punched her in the face? Like Ralph could have punched her in the mouth and have had the same justification as spitting in the face. It's a weird thing for the internet to focus on is all I'm saying. Again, guys, don't be retarded. Don't fight like these weird people. Like, I know none of you are like this, right? Like you're not weirdo internet personalities with reputations to uphold and clicks to get. You'll never find me fronting and fighting in some dumbass's yard ever because I'm old. I know exactly how this looks and I don't have an ego. Like I'm just going to say, okay, whatever, and walk away and we'll deal with it later. So I know you guys aren't like this, but none of this by either party is justified, is smart. This is all bad moves by everybody. But because it's all bad moves, I don't really see liability on either side. We'll get into the full analysis at the end.
Let me make that clear. Ethan Ralph spat a mouthful of blood into a 20-year-old girl's face. Need to see it again?
This is some gay activism by Digi. Oh, Ethan Ralph spit a mouthful of blood into a 20-year-old girl's face. You know what he didn't do? He didn't punch her in the tits, right? Like, let's be real. Like you're standing Mint because she's a woman. Now I've met Mint. Like I said, Mint is nice. Mint and I have no beef with Mint. I don't care. But like appealing to the woman card here, Mint comes up and starts punching Ralph in the face. At that point, Mint has entered into the fray, so to speak. Like again, if some woman comes up and starts punching me in the face, I'm going to punch her like a man. I'm not going to change my opinion because she has tits and a vagina. Like I'm going to punch the shit out of her. That's how it's going to be. But again, this isn't a situation I'm ever going to be in because I'm an adult, and a lawyer, and I recognize the public perception of everything. But in general, like if a woman hits me, I'm going to hit her like she's a man. I'm going to keep hitting her. I'm going to kick her in the face. I'm going to do whatever is necessary to end the situation because I don't discriminate. Equal rights and equal lefts, motherfucker. But that being said, like Digi here is being super lame. Like he spits in a 20-year-old woman's face. She just punched him in the face like 9 times. Again, maybe Ralph deserved it, but that doesn't somehow give Mint some special protection here. She's throwing punches as if she's one of the guys.
Let's watch it 16 more times. After that, his whore shouts a bunch of boring nonsense and the door is closed. But then the fat shorty realizes he's dropped his phone inside the house.
Where's his phone? Give it to him.
On the floor?
Find his phone.
Even though Riley has just been assaulted by this person and has every right to simply lock them out until the cops arrive,
he giving him his phone is the right thing to do. It's a smart move by Riley. Good job.
Genuinely wants them to have the phone back and begins looking for it. He hands over the phone and relaxes, expecting the dumbest man alive to retreat, but instead, Gunt does what Gunt do and sucker punches Riley with his guard down.
Very fucking bad move by Ethan Ralph. Very, very fucking bad move by Ethan Ralph here. And Ralph, at this point, this is the first point where I will say that Ralph is treading into assault territory. Very terrible move. The combat is over. A door has been closed. A physical barrier has been put between them. Whatever happened before is over. It's done. And now you're saying, hey, I dropped my phone in your house. That, at that point, is, I think that is the first prosecutable crime I have seen. That being said, on a separate level from the criminal aspect, that's a bitch move. Look, again, I'm friends with Ralph. I'm fine with Ralph. I'm friends with Riley. I'm fine with Riley. Friends with Bird. Everybody in this, I'm friends with I'm the friendliest motherfucker you've ever met. You know what? We're all buddies here. That being said, don't sucker punch people. Like that's lame. Don't do that. Okay. And I will say that again, this particular action is, I think, the first prosecutable offense, because you've got an end to the combat that was probably mutual, spurred by insults back and forth, people posturing, dick measuring contest is happening. Then you get into a fight. Okay, you got into a fight. Stop being gay. The fight's over. Right? Now kiss guns and makeup or whatever. That ended when the door closed. And when you say, hey, I dropped my phone in there. Can you jackasses give me my phone back? And they open the door and you throw a punch. That's where I say, hey, don't do that. Sonic Boom, I get they sucker punch Ralph first. Even if that's a sucker punch, this is also a sucker punch. And a sucker punch earlier doesn't justify a sucker punch later as far as the law is concerned. I'm saying this is probably the first prosecutable battery, because the combat is over and there's lots of statutes about justifiable use of force, and they tend to delineate between when an encounter clearly has ended. And I think that encounter had clearly ended. Ralph is out the door is closed. They voluntarily opened the door to give Ralph a phone, not to insult him, not to say anything else. That's where I think there's some potential liability here. And I would, again, Ralph's emotions are high. At that point, he should have maybe walked away. And what's her face should have gotten the phone for him. Whatever it was, this is a bad move. I would not advise it.
This, of course, is immediately followed by an heroic beatdown from Bird, whose shirt Guntino grabs a hold of and rips apart. As Riley, fueled by the
Bird here is probably in the clear. Again, my perception is that Ralph has maybe, and certainly in a reasonable perspective, is that Ralph has assaulted Riley here, and Bird is reacting to that. I think Bird's use of force here is justifiable. Again, I think all of this should have been avoided. Let me be very clear on that. All of this should have been avoided by some reasonable decisions by both parties. But I think Bird's reaction to Ralph punching Riley is justified here.
Burning passion of camaraderie gives an anime speech about friendship and family. I can be seen finally connecting to the police station to begin my report.
Bird also looks like he's been doing some push-ups since I last saw him.
Friends are like, you don't.
No,
we're family.
Stop.
We care for each other.
So
You're a
do we.
loser.
You have.
You have nothing.
No, we do have
You
something.
get the fuck out. You ain't shit.
You're out of nothing. then. Get the fuck out!
As the battered fat ass
Now they have said, by the way, I want to point this out for anyone talking about trespass or whatever. This is the first point in which they have said, get out. Trespass tends to occur at the point in which you ask someone to leave and they refuse to. So for all of that mess before about breaking and entering and stuff like that, I don't think they have a good case for Ralph. Breaking and entering or forcible entry. Again, the door was open. They could have closed it. They chose not to. They never said leave or don't come in. They didn't do any of that. At this point, they have said, get out, get the F out. If he were to come in at this point, it's a trespass for sure.
stumbles off into the night with his siren screeching behind, Riley reminds him once more just how short and stupid and terrible of a person he truly is.
You're 5 foot tall. You are 5
Ralph has shrunk another inch.
foot tall.
You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine.
He's 5 foot. No, insulting him. I don't know where his phone is. It's over there. There you go. Get your phone.
I'm calling it myself. I don't need your help.
Well, we're helping you. We're better than you. And we're not stumping to your level. We're better than you.
Better. I didn't do anything wrong. I just threw my shit on the curb.
Lock it up.
Because I said I wanted to.
Just lock it up.
That's the advice they should have taken from the beginning. Just lock the door.
In the wake of the storm, Riley had this to say on Snapchat.
Ethan Ralph is 4'9". I just want you guys to know. He's
He's dropped 3 more inches.
literally 4'9". Don't forget that. He's 4'9" max.
We will be selling handmade copies of this t-shirt on the Yig Studio store, linked in the description. Here is Riley to summarize his story once more.
Covered in blood spray from beating up Ethan Ralph.
Yeah.
Because he fucking threatened us earlier today, and then he showed up at our house and screamed at 2 a.m. in front of our neighbors until I opened the door to film him and stop him. Then he came up, pushed his way into the house, tried to fight me, of course sucker punching me. Just means that my girlfriend and Bird got involved and started hitting him too.
Now, Riley has left out that he did throw the first punch at Ralph, but again, I think the combat had ended at that point. There's someone in the chat saying, didn't Riley assault Ralph with that sucker punch? Maybe. I think, personally, it'd be hard to prosecute Riley under the circumstances. I think it'd be hard to prosecute Ralph for a forcible entry. I think it'd be very hard to prosecute Riley for a sucker punch because you've got a very tense situation. You've got Ralph coming in. You've got insults going back and forth. I think the idea of prosecuting someone for some sort of battery at that point is tough. It's tough. You could, in an objective, wonderful world, you could maybe make the case that Riley assaulted Ralph. And again, I do not endorse Riley punching Ralph. That's very, very obvious. I'm not a purveyor of violence in any way. I'm saying it's really hard to prosecute in this circumstance because you have a lot of factors leading up to that. You have Ralph potentially being unwelcome in the home. He's been communicated kind of by text messages that he's not welcome in the home. Not directly, not as obviously. You've got insults going back and forth, but they did keep the door open. They allowed him to walk in. They're videoing it for YouTube clicks, and you know they're doing it for YouTube clicks. There's a lot of mitigating factors here that make prosecution difficult. Now, if there's no video that gets posted to YouTube and no YouTube creators involved, you have a little bit of a different scenario, but nothing happens in a vacuum in the real world. Awig says, why don't you give the real legal take? The cops and the prosecutors look at this video and say what everyone says, not dealing with these figs. That's basically what I'm doing right now. That's what I'm doing right now, is saying that prosecuting Riley is a tough place here. prosecuting Ralph for entering the house is a really tough place. You've got people taunting him. You've got potentially some property in the house. They've indicated their desire to collect the property, and they don't do anything to prevent him from coming in. Not saying they have to, but it makes prosecution difficult. What I will say is that the biggest sticking point for me is Ralph throwing the punch at Riley after the door has been closed, after the combat has ended. After the encounter is over, a second encounter occurs where they open the door to give Ralph his phone, allegedly, and Ralph throws a punch. I think that was a really, really bad move. Lots of tempers. Do I think Ralph is going to get prosecuted over it? Probably not. Probably not. I don't know that anybody's interested in prosecuting that. I don't know that anybody's interested in going after that. Apparently, Digi's made a police report, whatever. But that is the most egregious part of this video, in my opinion. I don't think Ralph should have thrown that punch. I think he should have backed off, and Bay should have, I think it's Bay, should have retrieved the phone, and Ralph shouldn't have been back in the house. Like, look, you just got in a fight with all these people. You don't want to open that door again. Plus, there's like 6 of them. But that being said, I think Bird's actions at that point are justified as far as Bird is concerned. I think the most in legal trouble here is Ralph for throwing that punch. I don't think anybody's in real legal trouble. I think the cops are going to look at this as a stupid situation they don't want to get involved in.
You don't fuck with friends, Ethan, especially because you don't have any.
As the bozos bolted off into the moonlight and we filed our report with the police, the fat fuck posted his last comment on the situation to Twitter. A quote from Training Day. I think he forgot that this quote is from the part of the movie where the corrupt gang-leading cop is entrapped by his younger counterpart, confronted by every person he's ever encountered because he's such a massive piece of shit, and then gunned down in the streets. Never mind, that actually sounds about right.
And again, whatever you think of any of these people, these situations happen every day. They're not typically as public and they're not typically as stupid, but some of them are much more stupid than this. They really are. And they don't involve YouTube personalities. But that being said, guys, don't do this. Don't get involved in this silly stuff. There were ways to mitigate this from the start. First of all, you don't put someone's stuff in the yard. You go through the trouble of boxing it up, putting it in plastic containers or whatever, put it in the garage, say, I don't want to deal with you. Text me when you get here. Once this is done, I'm blocking you and it's all over. If you continue to harass me over the phone, I'm going to call the cops. That's that. And then you say, when you get here, text me, we'll move everything out. Or we'll open the garage. If you got a bunch of stuff in your garage you don't want them to go through, that's fine. Say, when you get here, text me. We'll move it out into the driveway. You can come grab it and then please leave. We don't want to deal with you. That's how you deal with this stuff. That is how you handle these sort of encounters. People aren't really good at navigating this stuff because a lot of emotions involved. Look, this shit has been brewing for 6 months between Ralph and Digi and May and Mint, and all of these people have had all sorts of problems with each other, and that's fine. But this has been brewing forever. You know it's been brewing forever. Deal with this stuff in a way that doesn't implicate everybody on the planet. Is my personal advice, not legal advice. Look, if you want legal advice, you can pay my hourly rate and we'll go through your problem point by point and that'll be fine. That'll be fine. So that's that. So my overall analysis of this is looks like a bunch of nonsense by both people. If the cops get involved, I think I don't know if they fit the statute for disorderly conduct. They're on private property. They're not in a public place. I don't think they fit the statute for entering the property intending to commit a misdemeanor. I think they enter the property intending to sling some insults, but that's not a misdemeanor. At that point, they don't want them in the property. Riley throws a punch in response to a bunch of insults and a perceived threat. I think he's got a good defense argument there. You know, there's a fight back and forth, spitting blood in the face of Mint. You know, I'm not going to sit here and stand the woman who just threw a bunch of punches at Ethan Ralph. Look, if you're a woman and you punch me in the face and you get blood spit in your face, that's the lucky thing that happens to you. If you punch me, I'll treat you just like a man. I believe in equality, and I would hit back with full force. I don't care about that shit. And so you're not going to win me over by standing the woman in this situation. The law doesn't care if you're a woman or a man. And no judge is going to look at that and go, she punched him 6 times, but he spit in her face though. And charge Ralph there. So I don't think so. The moment the door closes, the combat is over, and it is clearly over. Digi even says Riley calms down, and he does. At that point, everything is over. Nobody's like Ralph's not pounding on the door. He's not opening the door. He's not trying to get in. And there's some communication about a phone that's dropped, and they try to retrieve it. At that point, the door is open, and that's when Ralph hits Riley. I think that is the biggest legal risk in this situation. I think that was a bad move by Ethan Ralph. Again, if I were Ralph's lawyer, which I'm not, I would be concerned about that. I would be strategizing around that punch because I think that's the most likely incident for a charge. Again, I don't think Ralph's going to get charged here. And I don't think a prosecution is going to result, but I think that's a little risky for Ralph, who has had a violent criminal act in his past. I think that is something I would advise against. And generally speaking, I would advise against Ralph being involved in this situation at all. Because of the competing YouTube personalities and stuff like that. So here's my non-legal advice for all parties. The crew at the house should have put the stuff in the garage where it would be protected from the elements and from theft. Allowed for Ralph to text somebody, even if it's not you, somebody in the house, or not Ralph, sorry, Bay, to May, whatever the fuck her name is. Allowed them to text when they were available to pick up the stuff, and then open the garage, move the stuff out to the driveway and say, you can grab it. We'll move it out to the driveway. You can grab it. We're not going to be involved with that. And if you have anything that's missing, you can message again, whatever, but we've got everything. We heard that you're missing your walk and other bullshit, and it's all there. So that's my advice to them. My advice to Ralph is, please, dear Christ, don't go. There's no reason for you to be there. It's a very big legal risk for you. You have a legal history of violent felony, and you don't want to exacerbate that with another charge because you've got criminal points and all that stuff. Please don't do this. That would be my advice to Ralph. Let Bay handle this with anybody else on the planet, and it should be fine. But that's my read of the situation. I'm sure in some way I've guarded both Ralph and Riley. In fact, I think both people made a lot of mistakes in this situation. If anyone would have asked me my opinion on this beforehand, I would have given that advice. I don't think they should have been involved in this sort of stuff. However, the drama is valuable, and maybe that's what you're going for. So that's up to them. So that's that. Please now tell me how I'm a giant cuck for guarding whoever, even though I think both of them are stupid. Bad Vibe says, I think worst case is noise complaints, disturbing the peace, and potentially domestic violence for all parties if the state has domestic violence laws. Now, the domestic violence laws would be if anybody in that house, or more appropriately, if Digi struck Bay, or if Bay struck Digi, you've got a domestic violence complaint. I don't think Digi was involved in the actual fight, so I don't think that's a big issue, personally. All right. Oh my gosh, guys, we're already at 3 hours. I took so long on the Matt Gaetz thing. I guess we can do this other thing real quick. I don't think we're going to get to the I don't think we're going to get to the judge's opinion. I didn't mean to not get to the judge's opinion. I just don't think we're going to get there. Okay, we're going to go back to... We're going to go to the Kiwi Farms for this because this is... People informed me of this. So I want to... they informed me of this, but Kiwi Farms caught a lot of it. Let's see. Here we go. Kiwi Farms caught a lot of it. They've been doing a really good job. I always want to give credit where credit's due. People message me about this. So this is a convention. This is a convention for anime, SAC Anime. Now, SAC Anime has ousted, I'll get to the nuance, chill out, has ousted a COVID vaccination site for a couple days so they can host their swap meet. Their swap meet, which is an anime convention. Now, anime conventions are banned in California during COVID, but swap meets are not banned in California. So, that's what's going on. So this is in Sacramento. Now, the Sacramento Bee has reported on this, and SAC Anime has actually had a very scathing response to this. And I want to be clear, I'm pretty sure that Vic addressed this on his Tuesday live stream on Twitch. By the way, Vic live streams every Tuesday on Twitch, I believe around 6 p.m. Central Time. If you want to check Vic out on Twitch, I strongly recommend going to twitch.tv. I think it's /RealVicManana. And check out his very wholesome, very Vic live streams. That being said, I don't speak for Vic. Vic doesn't speak for me. I don't tell him what to do. He doesn't tell me what to do. I am going to make fun of SAC Anime. Vic, I think, has said, please don't go after this convention on his behalf, which I don't think anybody should go after the convention at all. Personally, I don't think it's about the convention. I think it's about the anime voice actors involved. But here's the story. A site currently being used to administer the vaccine will have to shut down later this week so a convention attended by Chris Sabat and Jason Liebrecht can hold their event. To get around the restrictions that are keeping California conventions closed, SAC Anime is calling it a swap meet. So here's the Sacramento Bee article that says, COVID-19 vaccine site in Northern California closing for 2 days to host anime event. This is all true. It is closing for 2 days. Now, SAC Anime has been very pissed off. Now, Awig says he said not to go after the voice actors too. Well, I don't know about going after anybody. I think making fun of people for hypocrisy is perfectly fine. Don't do it on Vic's behalf. That's silly. It's not about Vic in any way. This is about the hypocrisy of these people, because they were all opposed to any anime convention that dared be open during COVID because they were murdering everybody. Now, you know me, I say open everything. I don't think there should be any restrictions on anything. If the entire country dies from COVID, but it dies free, I think that's the appropriate response. Now, I know people aren't really comfortable with that, but I have such a raging liberty boner that I think everybody's responsible for their own decisions. So I don't want the government to shut down anything. Private people can shut down their own things, but if private companies want to be open, if SAC Anime wants to be open, I support them being open. My point here is the hypocrisy of Funimation voice actors, all of whom have been lambasting conventions and other people for attending those conventions as super spreaders or somehow causing the deaths of millions of grandmas or whatever. Now they're suddenly okay with attending it because they are invited. They are invited. So suddenly it's okay for a convention to occur. Suddenly it's okay for a convention to oust a vaccination site. All of this stuff is suddenly okay. And importantly, let's remember, these voice actors got their vaccination shots by being classified as educators because they teach online voice acting classes, which is a bunch of bullshit. They got to jump ahead of the line and get their vaccinations a little bit early, which means they literally took a vaccination from an old person or a frontline healthcare worker because they, through their computer, go, "What? I'm Vegeta. I'm very important. How could Kakarot be like this? I will tell you exactly how to act. My acting level's over 9,000. It's amazing. It's impossible." Let's be very clear. That is what they're sitting on a fucking webcam telling people how to voice act. And that's their excuse to take a vaccine from a nurse. Look, I don't care about nurses. I don't care about doctors. I don't care about anybody. I'm the most cold mother effer ever. I don't care about your vaccine. But if you're going to virtue signal about the vaccines, if you're going to virtue signal on COVID, and then suddenly you're willing to take someone else's vaccine so you can do an anime convention, get fucked. I don't care about you at all. I don't care about you. So anyway, that's the whole thing here. But yeah, the Roseville site that serves as Placer's main county-run vaccination center will be closed this Thursday and Friday as the venue hosts an anime event. County webpage showing the dates and times for COVID-19 vaccine appointments available at the grounds, formerly the Placer County Fairgrounds. Say the clinic will be closed April 1st and 2nd due to an event at the venue. So glad an anime convention is being held in the same area they're administering vaccine. One person commented on a recent SAC Anime Facebook post, "Bonus points for delaying my second dose past the recommended 28 days. Another user commented on SAC Anime's latest Facebook post, "They're taking away the largest vaccination center in the county for this." Now, to be clear, this was scheduled back in 2020. This has been scheduled for a long time. No one knew about it. Sacramento Bee is there. SAC Anime has responded. They have said that the Sacramento Bee article, they didn't reach out to SAC Anime or the licensing organizations. I don't remember which ones. Who cares? That have given them permission to do this, or the vaccination center, and that all of the vaccines have been delivered to other sites, and this is pre-planned. It's really bad optics, though. It is really, really bad optics. And not so much for, a little bit for SAC Anime. SAC Anime, this is bad optics for you, bro. But it's really bad optics for the voice actors, namely Chris Sabat, Jason Liebecht, or whatever, from Funimation. People who Funimation, again, has been staunchly opposed to showing up at physical anime conventions this entire time, because those anime conventions are where people go to die. They have been opposed to this. That's a bad look for them. So anyway, this is a big thing. Look, I never tell people to ambush anybody or whatever. I made fun of this on Twitter. I enjoy making fun of people. I think this is a big hypocrisy on the point of the VAs. I think this looks really bad for SAC Anime, and Schadenfreude is funny to me. That being said, you do whatever you want to do. I'm not your dad. I'm not your dad. But this is good stuff. This is good stuff. So anyway, well, the last topic I have here is actually to go through the criminal, not the criminal case, the case about the professor, the philosophy professor who refused to use a transgender person's preferred pronouns. But it's already 3 a.m. Eastern time, 2 a.m. Central, and I am not going to do that tonight because that'll take a while. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. I don't know. If I get a chance to catch up on the Chauvin trial tomorrow, we'll probably talk about that. There could be any number of other things, but I'm not going to do it tonight. I'll take it out of the title when I upload this to the live channel. But yeah, it's way too late for that. As for Twitch tonight, I might do an hour of gameplay. This is going to be a weird Twitch week. I don't know if we're going to get into watching a bunch of movies and stuff like that, but I might do an hour of Twitch gameplay. We'll probably be playing Space Marine or Dawn of War 2 Last Stand, one of those two, because I'm in Florida. I'm on a different computer, and I'm on a computer that can actually play those games. For whatever reason, my other computer can't. So we'll be doing something like that. We will not be playing Risk of Rain while I'm down here in Florida. We will not be playing Doom while I'm down here in Florida. We're going to be working on the thing that I was working on last time. So, all right, guys, that's what we've got for tonight, except for the super chats. We do have a bunch of super chats to go through. So if you don't stick around for the super chats, thanks for hanging out tonight, and we'll see you very, very soon. If you do stick around for the super chats and go to Twitch, I'll see you over there in just a little bit. Do Invincible for Twitch if you get a chance. Hour-ish episodes. Yeah. Angry Baneling, you want me to shill you the Teespring merch? I mean, you can go to my Teespring store and you can get some good merch. I'm not going to shill it on this video. I'm trying to get it to display appropriately below every video, but I'm working on those settings. So check out the Teespring store. It's great. My rights don't care about your feelings. It's my favorite new product launch, and you can check it out. It's been very, very popular as far as Teespring things go. So do enjoy those. Again, if you want to support me, don't do it via Teespring. If you want the product, buy it on Teespring. I make very little per product, couple bucks. I make those products for you guys, not for me. So if you like them, buy them. If you don't like them, please don't. So there you go. All right. Knight of Hope says, you also had the audacity not to giggle when I made that one whole horsepower joke about Monica, you cold-hearted son of a bitch. Still salty about that. Wolfgang Deo says, Nick, if I wanted to write a comment to someone that doesn't respond to rational argument, how do I end that line of discussion? I like get wrecked, but I wanted more, something devastating. You could just say you're still fat. Doesn't matter if they are. Redacted says, I don't know if it's been said, but Locals sounds like a cam whore site. It does. I know. Then again, so does Twitch. To my mind, you'll fit right in. Look, you can maybe see my roast beef flaps on Locals. Wolfgang Deo says, as per something devastating, I think I like my recent decision to try something like get wrecked. Stop blowing your brother while he gives a handy to your daddy who is being plowed by your uncle. Inspired by the aristocrats joke. Dang, I think my honest opinion is I think that's a bit too much. I think you're going too far with the joke and it loses the impact. I think get analed is maybe, that's maybe what you're looking for. Taybebe26 says, Nick, you son of a bitch. I bought 2 bottles of Milo's sweet tea and now I have diabetes. Just kidding. The stuff is really good. I want more. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? I love it. Bad Dragonite says, doing the Ralph fight. When did this become a geological stream? Gonna be learning about tectonic shifts. Dang. All your fat jokes are welcome here. All your fat jokes are welcome here. And I see a ton of them in the chat. Wolfgang Deo says, just like pleading the fifth, while it's a good idea to have the tape, never play it. No one needs to know the details of what's being done against you except confidential bodies such as the authorities, even if we shouldn't trust them either. Yeah, but the what's being done has been leaked. So you have the tape. Once it's been leaked, then you use the tape and say, hey, we made this in cooperation with the FBI. Here's Agent so-and-so who we've been working with. Here's the tape of my dad talking to this guy. Stop messing with me. Go after the real perpetrator, this guy extorting me. Bad Dragonite says, advice from Papa Tip in the BDSM dungeon. Get the tape. Crusader Saracen says, what kind of bird hangs around your parents' house? Is it a crane of some sort? A pelican? These are the questions that keep me up at night. I think it's some sort of heron. I don't know. I'll post a picture on Locals, maybe. Wolfgang Deo says, right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Can't trust the government to label felons properly, nor the government to know how to correctly assess mental illness shall not be infringed. I agree. Malik Foxton says, that's a whole lot of fat in the doorway. Bad Dragonite says, I think Digibro's corpse thing was a reference to a former Former channel name of Digibro, since they were talking about merch, but I don't know. Also, see if you can play Spot the Trans mid-video despite Digi claiming to be on the other side of the house. Malik Foxon says, well, I think Digi was on the other side of the house at the beginning, but then with the commotion moved over is the idea. But I don't know. I'm not defending anybody. I don't care. Malik Foxon says, personal opinion. Women give up their womanhood when they start throwing punches at people. Last I checked, men were supposed to fight to protect women, but I'm just a misogynist or whatever. Bad Dragonite says, I believe Spectre said on Tommy C's show that neither Riley or Ralph will be pressing charges currently. Neither of them should. Seems like a situation where if one gets arrested, they all get arrested to me. Also kind of sad the chick throws a better punch than both dudes. Mario Carter says, Matt Gaetz, drain the swamp. Also Matt Gaetz. So anyway, I trusted the FBI. Eaton Ralph says, the most shocking thing about this video is the first time I've seen the Kool-Aid Man use the door instead of a wall. My bad, Kool-Aid Manlet. Damn. Pimp named Nickelback says, well, hello there. I'm a pimp named Nickelback. Please say the whole thing. Yes, that includes a pimp named. Yes, every time. Lesson 1, a woman punches you. You take your backhand and smack-a-dabadoo her ass because equality. Trust me, I'm a lawyer. Pixelexia says, you've activated my trap card. Double gunt. This trap card is activated when your opponent's monster targets you for an attack. Block the attack with one gunt, and in response, drop a giant gunt on your opponent's monster to send it to the graveyard. Pixelexi says, sorry for the terrible trap card Yu-Gi-Oh joke. I've been playing a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh lately because bored. Also, you said that if someone has hair in a fight, you should pull it. Does that include nose hair? Hercules couldn't even pull one of your nose hairs. Yes, it does. Macca Jr. says, have you seen Critical Drinker on YouTube? He might be a good guest on your media channel. He's a Scotsman that does short, drunken movie reviews. Yes, I have. Yes, I like him. Yes, I would love to talk to him. And maybe someday I will. Wolfgang Deo says, white balance is easy. Just place a white card, large, hopefully if you can, where Chaircoon would be. Just know what white is. Make sure white is. Rotting Damsel says, next paycheck, and I swear that Sneck mug is mine. I'm so glad that you like the no step on Sneck mug. Delusional 92 says, you were the Chauvin one? Aurelania says, I realize he is an associate, but I thank God Ethan Ralph exists because I live for that level of gunt on gunt warfare. Cheers from North Carolina. Associate is a weird term. Ralph has been on this show one time. He has no financial interest or personal interest in this show. This is a weird thing about the internet. I'm friends with a lot of people, and a lot of people do a lot of stupid stuff. That's okay. Just because I'm friendly with someone doesn't mean they have some sort of interest in me or the show or whatever. Ralph doesn't have any connection to this show other than he's been on it one time, and he's invited me on his show a couple times, and I've accepted because my typical policy for going on shows is to go on shows if I have time in my schedule and if the topic is interesting to me. So that being said, I don't know that he's particularly an affiliate, an associate of the show. He has no legal connection to it. There's no contract. There's no monetary exchange or anything like that. So Ralph runs a show. I run a show. And I think people exaggerate how much that means. That being said, I'm not going to blast someone or besmirch someone other than just, politely mocking them because that's what I do. Funny Valentine 2024. Zalcor says, friends, you sure? I mean, friends with lots of people. I don't know what you guys define as internet friendships, but I don't think it's... People make a lot of a deal out about this stuff, and that's your projections, and I can't control those, so I'm not going to change the way that I talk about things. I've no animus or ill will towards Ethan Ralph. He's never done anything to me. I've no animus or ill will towards Riley or Digi or any of these people. I don't even have animus or ill will towards Mad Black or Perception or Tonka or Shane. It's all funny to me. Like it's just part of reality. this weird like demands to take some sort of principled stand against someone it's so baffling. I don't get it. Funny Valentine 2024 says, also thoughts on Gammon and Barnes suing the Fed Reserve. I haven't seen it. Mikhail Johansson says, second Nuremberg trials being prepared. Any validity? Uh-oh. Are you talking about Chauvin? I don't know what that means. Bad Dragonite says. Dabster says, I would say acquaintance if I were you. But you're not me, though. You're not me, so that's okay. Again, it doesn't, like, I say friend and people import some sort of thing on that. I have family who have done worse things than Ethan Ralph. They're still my family. I don't necessarily endorse their behaviors or whatever, but like that doesn't change the classification to me. I don't know. So it's just it's such a weird thing. People like, again, I don't ask you to do anything with people that you deal with. So my categorizations are my own. And I realize that that's going to make some people say some things that, like, I get it, but I find those things weird. And so it's not a condemnation. It's just comment. Bad Dragon says, Bainling does great tech support. Lies. Kiwi Goes Live says, your appearance on Friday Night Tights with Chrissy Mayer brings you one step closer to the edge with Who Are These Podcasts? Does he like or not like Chrissy Mayer? I really need to talk to Carl. I owe him a chat. I would love to do a show with him. When I met him in Tampa last time, he was a really nice guy. I think it'd be really funny. I don't know of his relationship with Chrissy Mayer. Matt K says, found a Lagavulin 16 at Costco for $90. If you ever tried Oban 14, $60. I have. Oban's a little more wine tasting. It's a little sweeter. Might try that one next unless you think it sucks. I don't think it sucks. I think Oban 14 is a very good whiskey. I prefer the smokier, peatier stuff than Oban. I recommend Oban to people who like wine but want to try whiskey. Emily Wooten says, dropping a super chat because it brightens my day when your notification pops up. I'm like, yay. Oh, thank you, Emily. Deplorable says, insert the South Park friend joke here. I don't even know it. Roland S says, could you define grift/grifters in American culture and SJWism and in lobbyism in and around DC? Word came up in conservative podcasts. Grifter means a whole lot of things. What it means right now is someone who basically lies or misrepresents things to extract money from someone. I think that's the current use of grifter, but I may be wrong. I am chief grifter of 2020. I'm the king grifter. I've won the grifting competition, and I'm proud to do so. Wolfgang Deo says, bro, 4.5 is better than 0. Leak for the political. But he got 0. Taylor Cook says, a third party could definitely benefit either from drawing eyes to this or just discrediting Matt Gaetz, or he leaked on himself. Possible. CJ says, is that consternation or constipation? Yes. Rhinoceros Rex says, heads up, new Bandai Marine dropped, white scars. Where are my Salamander and my Imperial Fist Marine? But thank you. I will buy a White Scars Marine hands down. Where are my other 2 Marines? Have they released yet? Snuggle Struggle says, question, Gaetz is being investigated. Is the FBI also investigating the president towards Tara Reid? She was fired for not just going with it. No. Look, actually, though, the independent counsel, I believe, is looking into some of the Joe Biden allegations in regards to that. Wolfgang Deo says, I saw the first Tucker impression. Both were bad. Good. IWD says, my house specific there, Representative Gaetz. Sergeant Salter says, how would these answers hold up in court? He would make different answers in court. Wolfgang Deo says, when was the last time you made fun of Mars Girl? A couple days ago. Permafrost says, hashtag release the Gaetz tapes. Wolfgang Deo says, was Tucker involved? Lol, Fox conspiracy. Space Force Commander says, Ardbeg and Oa. Drink it or you're drinking scotch wrong, bigot. I like Ardbegs. I haven't had the Anoa, but I'll try it. Nightwave Radio says, you back around, hit me up. Yes. Mersh, I am back. Sorry I didn't see this earlier. I'll text you. I'm in the Tampa, St. Pete's area, and I'll send you a text. I would love to hang out if we can. 200 Watt Studio says Tucker went on later to update Gaetz, was a former voice actor for Funimation, had several other voice actors file recent complaints against him. Wolfgang Dale says Nick, just watch the trial later. Feed the birds now. Bad Vibe says COVID is fatal to obese people. Hashtag shaming saves. True. Joshua Sanabria says Senate Bill 5038 in Washington bans open carry at protests and demonstrations that require a permit. Not cool. I agree. But with the latest Ninth Circuit, they can do it. They can ban it wherever. Roland S. says, how does going to confession for a lawyer work? I have not been to confession since I was a lawyer. Bad Catholic. Gummy says Ted Bundy represented himself, worked out great for him. Nightwave Radio says Nick is stealing my take on this situation, typical as he's YouTube's second most prominent lawyer on YouTube to me. Plead the fifth. Says, so tell us the truth. Is Ralph 5'1" or is Riley 5'1"? That's the problem, right? Because Riley looks the same height as Ralph. Sorry, Riley. Wolfgang Deo says, so a gunt is when two babies kiss. Weird. Okay. Wendell 2020 says, okay, why does Fool Riley sounding like Ron? For real, this sounds like some good shit. Robert Levito says, hey, Rackets, got a raise, have a grift on me. Oh, thank you. Wendell 2020 says, sorry, I meant hood shit. Damn autocorrect, more money for you, I guess. Enjoy Florida, you boomer. I always enjoy Florida. I love freedom. Aurelanius says, is it wrong to wish harm on all involved? No. Thomas says, I like that this law doesn't apply at dusk and dawn, just day and night. Del Frickin' Tree, welcome to paralegal status. Loric Project, did I mention this one? Says, I believe in absolute gender equality. Quote Nick 2021. Kiwi, I hope I didn't miss that, but if I did, I'm sorry. Kiwi Goes Live says, well, I know why you never called on the anniversary of our drunken brawl, runs away crying. I thought it meant something to you. As Cybertaz says, in the 6-player X-Men arcade game, the Blob was one of the easiest bosses. Nothing moves the Blob. Unknown Otaku said, Ralph said he was drunk. Does that change anything? I don't think so. It doesn't mitigate his actions, and I don't think it mitigates theirs. No one important says, to be fair, I'd be angry too if every time I got into a fight I shrank an inch as well. Mike Hunt says 3-7 Ralph versus Riley. Oh, come on. Poor Ralph. Rotting Damsel says, any tips for controlling anger? Get happier in your life. No, I'm bad at it. Here's what I do. Avoid situations that make you angry. Recognize your personal failings. Mine is, I have a bad temper. So I walk away from situations. I work really, really hard not to like front. I don't try to be a tough guy. I don't pretend anything like that. I will say I'm not personally afraid of anybody on this planet. But that being said, I also am not going to sit and antagonize anybody. I don't do that because I know my anger can get the better of me. And so I stay away from that. And I would strongly recommend if you have an anger issue and controlling anger, you just do the same thing. Stay away from situations that make you angry. The moment you catch yourself in a situation where you're angry, walk away. Best thing you can do. Chad Van Winkle says, we all know Nurgle is the true god of Gunt. I agree. Wolfgang Deo says, some random hedge fund got burned up overnight by Viacom CBS selling $3 billion in shares. Lol. All of a sudden, the banks wanted the hedge fund to pay up and it couldn't. I bought in after I heard about it, and it's already going back up at a reasonable rate. Bad Dragon Knight says, fat jokes are welcome. That's good. I'm a living fat joke. Also, Invincible would be good for a watch party. Based on an indie comic by the creator of the Walking Dead comics. First episode ending is interesting. We'll probably do that maybe when I get back home. So we'll see. Hey, guys, thanks for the stream tonight. I always love when you guys show up. It means the world to me, and it makes my job a ton of fun. We're going to go over on Twitch in just a minute to play either some Space Marine or some Dawn of War 2 Last Stand. We'll see which one is which. I don't know which one I want to play yet, but one of those two is going to happen. Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you tomorrow, where we should have another live stream, hopefully. So I apologize for no loud, yelling, drunken rants tonight. I have to be kind of calm and quiet because my voice can carry across the entire house here, and people are sleeping. So thank you for dealing with me on that. We'll talk to you soon. See you tomorrow or over on Twitch. Have a good night. Peace. Peace.
He drinks a fair bit, but you realize that it just helps get his noggin jogging along. With his glass by his side and his kids asleep tight, we'll hear some lost-plaining tonight. With his microphone muted, we'll laugh at this boomer until he explains it's all part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes madder, raging at idiots from Twitterland. From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an art bag, a bow, more a love rug. The spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear lost-plaining tonight. From the white shores of Nam to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, the guests are all plentiful, from Dante to Drexel. They bring their perspective and spice to the mix.